So, Captain.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Good to see you finally. Yes, I'm here.
Salimia wananchi.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Kenyans, or wherever you are in the Republic of Kenya, in the diaspora. Please join us this morning so that as we talk about the things that are happening in our country, because this is our country and we cannot run away from it, and we don't have another country.
Sure. Hatuna spare mahali. There's no spare anybody.
We don't have a spare country. And this is the place we must make or break.
I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself first before atakabla jaingia mashambani pale chike jembe. I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself.
Yes, Bitok, I know many people have said hello to me.
Yeah.
Let me also say a very important friend of mine, known as Mother Wangeshi, said she knows you from Nakuru. So she said...
Oh, nice. That's great.
She will forgive me if I didn't say that I passed on the greetings. Now, professionally, I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I've been to many places in this country. And I've also done very many things. My first employment was with the United Nations many years ago, where I worked with refugees. Then I joined the Kenya Armed Forces, trained, served, and under rank.
Hiyo ni miaka gani?
Miaka ya zamani kidogo, wakati wa serikali ya Nyayo.
Hata mimi naingia jeshi. Yaani sema serikali ya Nyayo na vile fresh hapa. Uko gangari kabisa. .com.
Nikujiangalia kabisa. Unajua ni vizuri pia unatengeneza mwili. Mimi saa zingine husomea wale wanaume wamekataa wanakula ugali excess jioni.
Grafu anaanza kumeza ile kitu kingine.
Punguza level ya ugali, usikule ugali nyingi. Ugali unakula wakati kuna kazi ya kufanya. Sana.
Na hiyo horizontal activities hiyo kazi?
Hiyo horizontal activities, unajua kuna pahali inafika pia watu wanaendanga kuna off sessions, kuna time outs. Wakati kuna time out, wewe uachana na ugali, kunywa kauji kidogo na soup jioni, lala.
Supu ya kanyama.
Utaamka mzuri.
Ukule manago.
Na ukule manago. Ugali nyingi usiku achana nayo.
Yes. Unafikiria kwa nini ama jamaa siku hizi wanakula sijui nini wanameza hapa Kilimani?
Unajua ukiona mtu mwenye lazima atumie hizo tebe ya kutafuta nguvu ya pale kuna shida mahali. Na shida unajua hii nguvu tunasemanga mwanaume ni sauti na nguvu. Sasa sauti unaitoa sababu umekula kitu imeingia kwa tumbo na ni kitu ya kusaidia. Nguvu nayo mwili pia lazima uitengeneze. Sio unaamka asubuhi, unakunywa chai, mkate, unaketi chini. Tena saa 7 unaenda ofisi ama unaenda kazi unaketi, unakunywa chai saa 4. Saa 7 amka uchangamke,
chapa kazi.
Ukikula chakula amka uchangamke. Na Nairobi kuna nafasi nyingi za kufanya hivyo.
Enda Boreta mzunguke.
Enda Boreta mzunguke. Enda Nairobi ASK Showground, wanaruhusu. Enda pale kuna tumilima na mabode kidogo, fanya mazoezi hata kama ni kutembea peke yake. Inasaidia sana.
Bure hydraulic itakwama.
Sasa usipofanyisha battery kazi ama gari engine isipoguruma
kila saa.
Sasa unajua tena hiyo battery itaenda down na itabidi utafute charge.
Alafu unaanza kusukuma kwa mlima ama unajawa jump starting, unafanya jump starting.
Unaweza kutafuta watu wengine wakusaidia na jump starting.
Unaweka wire.
Na unajua jump starting pia inaweza short circuit, engine yote inakufa. Sasa hapo ndio shida imekuwa.
Hapo ndio maneno iko.
Hapo ndio maneno iko. Sasa una jump start na sasa battery iko chini, sasa una short circuit, engine yote kwisha, dead.
So kutoka all the way from being a military man, then how did you end up being an advocate? What drove you there?
I was actually an advocate when I went to the military. And I didn't go to the military to look for a job. I went in there for adventure and to serve the Republic. You know, a lot of people don't get it. You don't join the security forces mainly. It's not a job. Because you actually putting your life on the line. I was already an advocate. In fact, surprisingly, I already had a very good life. I was driving 2 cars when I joined the military.
Amazing.
But I did join and served my time, and I'm very proud because of what we did. We helped this country, and it is a self-sacrifice. I wouldn't tell you I made money when I joined the military. The years I was there, I didn't make money, but I'm very, very proud. That is my proudest moment in the country. That's the moment I learned that Kenya is ranges from Liboi Tulwahaka in Bugoma, Libo is in Garissa, then Loitoktok in Kajiado to Lokichogyo in Turkana, and from Sirari or from Isebania all the way to Moyale. That's when you learn to appreciate the beauty of our country, because I was able to travel the country by road and by air, because I was in the Air Force.
Oh, you were in the Air Force?
Yes, I was in the Air Force. Then I did leave and joined. I also became an anti-corruption investigator. Yes, sisi tulitengeneza wakati ilikuwa inaitwa CAS, wakati sasa Ringera aliingia mara pili. So, and we did quite a bit of work. Some of the records I left there and some of the names I saw there, some of these people should be never anywhere near public resources in this country. But unfortunately, you know, when our people are given chapter 6, they didn't take it seriously. People love their criminals. Najua mwizi wa ng'ombe hata ama mwizi wa kuku ana mama na watu wao wanaupenda. Hata yule huyo ni mtoto wetu.
Hata kama amenyonga kuku nyumbani.
That same principle falls to the political class has abused it and misused it. And that is what you see. So I left and got in the private sector a bit. I did a bit of forensic investigations with private entities in an audit firm. I'm not advertising for them, so I won't mention them in this show.
They should pay.
They should pay you. You will need to earn some money. Then after that, I joined the Revenue Authority, where I was for 14 years. And I never did the sweet jobs there. I was running after the crooks, both internal and external crooks.
Ndio ulikuwa unashika watu mshipi.
Mimi nilikuwa napeana barua ya persona non grata.
So let me ask you, since you've had experience, firsthand with corruption in this country, quite literally, like you say, what did you say it feels like to fight corruption in this country? Because you were there with Ringera, over time from Ringera, we've had several commissions, we've had people like, we even have a pastor for now, and there seems to be a zero progress in terms of fighting corruption. What is corruption? Who protects corruption? How does it feel fighting corruption in this country?
You see, the talk. What you call corruption, or what our people understand as corruption, is very different from what is in the statute. You see, if I say nepotism, favoritism, abuse of office is corruption, but I favor the person from my village, for example, let's say even you are even a private entity, you've been given a road to construct. Okay, let's give an example. You're given a road in, let's say, like Laikipia Central in Sirima, where I have interest. But I am from another county, let's say Kiambu. Remember, the road is far away in Laikipia. There are young people there. There are young men and women who would need those positions to earn something. But you pick villagers from your home area in Kiamba and you take them to Laikipia. What are you doing? You're simply engaging in favoritism, in nepotism. So, and you are a private entity. Now, do you think the people in your area understand that as corruption?
No, they don't.
How do they take it? He likes our children. He's helping our village. Yes. And that is now the position we find ourselves in. That we have a subculture of wanting to assist those who hate
corruption.
Yes. And you see, apart from what you call direct theft and looting, where you now take public resources and public equipment and use them for private purposes, or divert funds meant for public use to private use, most of other things that people do in offices or even in private offices, a lot of Kenyans don't consider them as corruption. Because even if I sit in an office and I put a Harabe card on my table, and everybody who comes to see me for service then gives 1,000, 2,000. So at the end of the day, I will go to the village with a nice suit like you're wearing, very smart. And then people will clap for me. Mheshimiwa ameingia, makofi ya kilo 5, 1, 2, 3, nitoe 1,200. Funga. Nitoe 1,200. You know, I will be a hero.
Kabisa.
And basically, that is the problem. So, first, we've been defining corruption in the concepts, using the concepts of foreigners, an ideology of foreigners. We must sit down and rethink that which we call corruption. And if you remember, Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, my teacher, was also at the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Yeah, sure.
And you see, he didn't go far.
Yeah, he was actually here also.
Yes, because as I have told you, you cannot, sometimes you can't legislate against culture. No, you can't. We've tried even with FGM. Have we succeeded?
It's difficult.
It's difficult. So we have certain cultural behaviors and certain cultural concepts we hold, which are very dear to us. You know, in many African societies and in Kenya, you will be told that a fruit or leaves make fertile and fertile where they fall. So mtu usipokuweko huangukiwi na mti. Tunaelewana? So in other words, we talk wherever you come from, you are expected to help your relatives.
Yeah, sure.
Now,
it was black tax.
Black tax. I don't like to use the word black tax because you know that's also an affront to our skin. It's an affront to our skin. We can call it social tax. Yes.
To make it sound more civilized.
Yes.
But again, now you mentioned that you've arrested a lot of people during your stint at anti-corruption.
Yes.
You came again to Revenue Authority where you're also dealing with crooks.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel by being in a field where progress is almost impossible?
It's not that progress is impossible. Change is a process. When I joined the Revenue Authority in 2007, the rate of collection, we were doing 300, 400 to 500 billion annually in the total tax collection for the country. By about 2012, or let me say very well around 2010, the country was no longer dependent on aid. In fact, I remember attending meetings with IMF and World Bank officials, and they would demand certain information. And that time we had the audacity to tell them, no, we can't give you that information because it is confidential information. Why? Because, you see, there was that phrase, lipa ushuru ujitegemee. So that meant that the country was self-sufficient. And if you remember very well, there was even a time the British government demanded a refund of its money when they claimed that some of their money, I think they had given about 4 billion to the Ministry of Education. The government of Kenya refunded that money. Yes, from a donor. That was totally unheard of. And you see, it's because of the efforts that were put in place. Sometimes you do not even, people resist change, but you can change systems. You can change processes and procedures of work. Yes, you make it impossible.
So it's a process. So
it's a process.
We hope that someday
we'll someday. And Bitok, I love this country. And wherever I have served, I'm very proud of what I did. And I will never sit anywhere in this country, rubbish the armed forces where I served, the Anti-Corruption Commission, or even the Revenue Authority. Because at that point, I had a job to do, and I did it. This country is doing very well in terms of revenue mobilization. We're doing basically between 19 to 21% of the GDP, which is one of the highest in Sub-Saharan, in fact, the highest in Sub-Saharan Africa. We should be proud of that. Our own citizens sometimes are they have a lot of, they are very pessimistic about the country. But if you look at even the World Bank data, the UNDP data, at the GDP nominal, Kenya is always between number 74 and number 80 in the countries of the world. I mean,
so at least there's something to be proud of.
Yes, there's something to be proud of.
But the question is one day, and this is what I keep asking, Captain. I mean, all these figures that you guys keep bombarding us with, you're talking about 6%, 7%, 10%. You're talking about Kenya being number 4 or number 15 or number 8, in the world in terms of economic growth. What does it mean to a mwananchi who does not have a road, who does not have an hospital, who does not have a school? I mean, all these figures you guys keep telling us about and putting in these newspapers, what does it mean for that mwananchi who's on the ground, who does not have all those facilities? Is the figures nakwanga za Nairobi peke yake?
Let me come to that point. Because you see, mobilization is one thing, and that's what we call in government, when you're talking about public finance, we're talking about the revenue side. That's the collection side. Then there is the expenditure side. which is the physical side. And in the physical side, there are very many players. You cannot appropriate resources, public resources in this country without legislation. And that's where parliament comes in. Parliament. And when we talk about legislation, we are not talking about legislation at the level of the National Assembly and Senate. We are also talking about legislation at the county level, at the devolved units. And I want you we need to ask Kenyans this question. So you have the government on one hand collecting revenue, then you have electors, that is the voters, electing the guardians or the trustees for that revenue. And that's where we have a problem. That's where we have a problem on the expenditure side, because we have then people diverting resources, because it is very sad in this country, that you have people elected into office. They do not think that they are servants of the electors. No. In fact, I am happy that the media has been calling out politicians who drive on the wrong side of the road, go bullying everybody. First, you are driving a car funded by the public. You are paid a salary by the public. You've been given an office as a matter of honor. It's not your office in the first place.
By the public.
It's a public office. You shouldn't even be talking. I mean, we shouldn't even have a situation where a citizen, a voter in a constituency, is unable to reach his member of parliament. But that is what we experience in Kenya. Is it possible for you to call your member of parliament and speak to them? Majority of them are unreachable. They are inaccessible. Yet, as they have been told, even by Reverend Wainaina, they are servants
of the people.
Of the people. In fact, politicians should know they are servants of the people. And then they wouldn't engage in bad manners. When you are told that you are a trustee, you're going to look after people's resources. Please do your job well. How many times we have seen chairman of Public Accounts Committee in the National Assembly being accused of corruption and receiving bribes from public bodies where they are supposed to be auditing and ensuring that there is good expenditure. That is the situation we find ourselves in. So, and this takes us to the political bad manners.
And now that you mentioned about the political bad manners,
the contempt the politicians in this country hold the public. That is why a politician, you saw what happened in Kisii yesterday.
That's what I was going to.
You have two fellows who are elected. You are the embodiment of the legislative will of those people. The people of South Mugirango, the people of Embakasi North, all of them, Dagoretti North, they cannot go to parliament and legislate for themselves. So they have sent you as their delegate. You embody their interests. You represent their collective wisdom. You know that if we think that, so if you are given that kind of mandate by people, that collectively they are saying, this is the man or woman to represent us, please behave that part. Behave that part by decorum, by public discourse, by anywhere you go. Please carry with yourself the dignity of the office of member of parliament. This is why you are called honorable, because the venerable citizens have delegated that mandate to you. But what do you find? That these fellows think that they are there by themselves, by their own behest. We say the moon shines at the behest of the sun. The politicians should know that they hold those offices in trust and at the behest of the citizens. And once our citizens begin to question that kind of behavior, and in fact, that kind of behavior in other countries would have caused immediate resignation from office. And that was the essence of Chapter 6. But as I have said, what we understand as good manners, as hygiene in behavior, in our public discourse, we may have, it will take time. But we should also be proud, Bitok. We know what's happening in our neighboring countries. Okay? And we are not there. We've moved ahead. And we can only hope that things will be better. But our citizens must also begin to question those politicians. You must, when somebody behaves that way, in fact, we should in fact be having, apart from having a recall clause in the Constitution, I think we should have had what is called a constituency ethics forum, where there should be elders from every ward, 2 elders from every ward, a man and a woman, who call the member of parliament to order and tell them, look, you are no longer representing what we believe in.
But the problem is, even as you said about the elders, even the elders now have bad manners. I mean, they're no longer elders. Let's talk about the president. And you see, there's something that's happening, utterances. I saw a video of the president yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. The president talking about tupa de tupe. He was saying that, I don't know if you, did you watch that video? I could try and have my guys bring it up.
Yes.
Shortly, I think I'll send it to them. Toy. But I mean, it's sad. What's going on is really sad in terms of what the presidency is embodying. But even as you're waiting for that to come up, for the video to come up, I want to go to Sagana.
Yes.
And talk about the things that have been done there. The tribal mobilization is already beginning before we get to 2022.
Yes.
The president is retreating back to his backyard, and they're saying, guys, I'm your father, and nobody else should come here and tell you otherwise. What are your thoughts? You come from Central Kenya. What is the feeling on the ground?
First, I will tell you something our people say. I will try to put it in English. Our people say that you may not insult or fight with an elder, but you can tell them that they are wrong and you disagree respectively. First, I have no problem with the president meeting people in his backyard at Sagana. We have freedom of association and assembly in this country. And if the president feels he wants to meet whoever he wants and whoever wants to consult him, it is well and good. And if he also wants to go to Western, meet the people of Western, at the coast, Rift Valley, South Rift, North Rift, Central Rift, Nyanza, it's well and good. Because you see, there is what you call the collective will of the people, and sometimes we call the unity of purpose. What is it that you want to achieve as a leader? Now, if the president feels that is a way his message will be delivered home, well and good. But we know what triggered those meetings. It was triggered by the letter written by the Honorable Senator for Murang'a. My professional colleague, Dr. Irongo Kangata. You see, I'll be very honest with you. I travel to the Central Region quite often. I also do a bit of farming there. So I was actually in the farm yesterday, and I did speak to a number of people. Okay, although not very far, but Kiabu is metropolitan. There are a lot of people, and there have also very many people from other regions in Mount Kenya. And you listen to the people. There is something which is very important, and I don't think the president himself, only the president himself should be addressing that. There is something going on in Central Kenya. The region is restless, very restless. I wrote about it in Facebook, and I could see the comments of the people. And why is the region restless? That is a very small, what you call Central Kenya, and actually the wider Mount Kenya, is a very small region in terms of geographical size in Kenya. But the population is very high. The density is very, very high in some of the areas. That means the competition for resources, competition even for land, competition for livelihoods, leave alone even the land, livelihoods is very high. And therefore, people depend on innovation and enterprise. But something happened, I think, 1 or 2 years ago. And there was the ultimate hawker mentality is very entrenched in the region, where people believe that they can merchandise, that I can move with my bananas from Murang'a and actually walk all the way and cross to Thika and Kiabu on a bunch. They are ripe, and and that is the way people have been socialized to live in that place. But we've seen that kind of activity, including hawking merchandise, being criminalized. And we saw commodities being destroyed, the commodities in the name of dealing with the counterfeits, in the name of dealing with prohibited goods. And the amount of money that was lost, by young people in that region was too much. I have my own 2 cousins who are hawkers, and I found them up country, and they told me, it is you who has to be given sugar and tea to our grandmother now alone, because we no longer we can't stay in Nairobi. That feeling has created a sense of siege mentality in the region. And that's a fact. And right now, even the president knows that siege mentality has made people feel that our source of livelihood is being deliberately destroyed. Now, you are talking of an area with a very high massive population. So in terms of communication, if my cousin is affected, then you can imagine if we all live in the same village, everybody will know that he has gone up country. And it will be repeated. And that is now the kind of discussion and the discourse that is happening on the ground. And you can imagine then, and that is why I think it is right for the president to go and address that matter, that the questions the people in the village ask, which government is destroying our people's business? Ni hii serikali tu ya Jubilee? Ni hii serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta? Then you can imagine then how people react. They may not. And I will say this. I don't think people in central Kenya dislike the president or hate him. No. But there are certain actions which have been done by people he may have trusted and appointed into office, which have brought him into a lot of, where people now feel like there is a distaste in their mouths that this is happening under his watch. You see? Then, of course, you saw on live TV the evictions in Kariobangi. And you see, the evictions, it's okay, you can evict people. But even our constitution and our laws it has something to say about evictions. You should carry it in a humane manner. You have people, mothers carrying babies. You have people, babies, a 2-year-old baby getting injured in the fracas of an eviction.
Sponsored by government.
Sponsored by government.
You say the president went down to central Kenya to speak about the issues of central Kenya, that are affecting them. And he mentioned them quite rightfully. The state of the economy in central Kenya, the state of businesses, the state of daily assets, the things that central Kenya people do. And I think I would be right to say that the biggest victims of Jubilee government has been the people from central Kenya, because they rely majorly on government policies. If the trade policies are wrong, then they are the people who suffer most. Now, you mentioned the things about farming. Also saw the farmers were complaining about the prices of coffee, mambo ya chai na maziwa and all that. Those are not part of the discussions at Sagana. So I don't know then how these people feel now that Sagana is over. The dust has settled. In fact, the president cancelled meetings yesterday. He has also cancelled around meetings until next week. The dust has settled. Are we happy?
Bitoka, I said change is a process. And I have heard other people talking about that discussion. I do not know of a more resolute people. It will be very hard to dissuade them otherwise. Now, my friend and my former college mate, the Honorable Munya, the Minister for Agriculture, has been moving around the central region, actually the entire Mount Kenya, the 10 counties, talking about, I'll call them the 9 counties, talking about agricultural production. But sometimes the message is lost in the messenger. Why? Because I planted coffee after high school, Bitok. I used to have coffee, and I only harvested rice, and then I uprooted the crop, because I call it the crop of servitude, where your work is to produce, take it to the factory, then you leave it to the chain, to the supply chain and the value chain to exploit your own resource. And you can see fellows are getting fat. Fellows are driving good cars, but you're not getting anything. In fact, at one point in the late 90s, I was left with a debt, because they then had subtracted my inputs, because I had picked pesticides, fertilizer, and I was left with a debt. I was actually after farming. So and I made a decision, I'm not going to farm. That time coffee was a protected crop, so I used other chemicals to dry, to make the plants the plants dry, and I had done very well. So when people talk about coffee farming, there are very many theorists talking in Nairobi, but they've never farmed coffee. They don't know how expensive it is and how laborious it is. But let me get to the point, whether that has changed. So the messenger has been going on the ground talking to the people. In fact, Bitoka, I said earlier, President Uhuru Kenyatta does not need to go and talk to the people of Mount Kenya. He has foot soldiers who should be doing that job. They are principal secretaries. They are directors of agriculture. They are cabinet secretaries. They are the ones who should be doing that job for him. In fact, for him, he should be going to be appreciated, for people to appreciate
to sing for him.
Yes, to sing for him what his guys have done. But are they doing that? I will give you a good example. Let's talk about coffee. So coffee farming, I uprooted mine. I think my father and one of my brothers still have theirs. Where there are few plants left in another farm I bought, I am doing something to ensure they disappear completely, because I don't want to engage in that farming anymore. I am better off farming bananas and other crops. But let me tell you the suggestion on the ground. And I have seen very wonderful people employed by government, including members of constitutional commissions, telling me I'm just bitter, because they have sometimes I don't like calling homeboys or flower girls who are given jobs just because they have a good face, you know. But it's very insulting to tell somebody that you are just bitter. I have been a farmer. I know. Right now, the minister is suggesting to spend 7.3 billion to revive factories. You are reviving factories to process what?
There's no production.
There's no production. So you begin with the producer. You make sure that the farmer has access to cheap inputs. You subsidize the inputs. You ensure that extension services are okay. If you have that 7.3 billion for the region, add to what the counties are doing, then there can be production. Let us worry about processing after we have produced. It takes a crop of coffee about 3 years to mature and to start producing something sensible and something you can sell. So in 3 years, what will you be doing with the revived factory? Nothing. But that is what the minister is proposing. So if that is the kind of execution of policy at that level, then you can imagine these guys are sworn to advise and give advice to the president. Are they giving him the right advice? Are they giving feedback? Okay, you're going to speak to people who are, you call them farmers. Do they even understand? Do they have the wherewithal to understand? You see, when I say I was left with a debt, I was actually left with a debt of 2,000 and something. After selling 6,400 kilos of coffee.
That's almost 50% loss.
No. In fact, I lost, it was 100% loss. I didn't get anything. You see, I was left with a debt.
Oh, yes.
I didn't get anything.
So you've gotten a loss until now.
And I've sold my crop.
120%.
Remember, I also paid farm workers and farm hands and cashiers to prune the coffee for me and carry it to the factory. So I actually went to over almost 200 or 300% loss. And that is now the feeling on the ground. You see, the president does not need to go to Murang'a to talk about coffee, because he has a minister. He has a whole labyrinth of civil servants. If I were him, by the time these complaints are coming, I would have fired all these fellows. All of them. I would have fired all of them.
But the president has less than 18 months to work. I mean, he has been here for 10 years. Now, at 18 months, that's when he wants to work. Anyway, the video is ready. Let's have the video. Put your headphones on. Yes. I need to listen to your president. What do you say in Sagana?
Mimi siko hapa kuambia ati nimemwambia ukiletewa kitu chukua, kula, sema asante, but never sell your heart, never sell your soul. Yeah? Mimi siko hapa kuambia ati nimemwambia ukiletewa kitu chukua, kula, sema asante, but never sell your heart, never sell your soul. Yeah? Si namna hiyo? Na msikuja hapa. Tumekaa miaka hii yote na amani. Sasa unaona hati ndio mtu aseme hii ni territory yangu, hii ni territory yangu. Unaenda mnatupia Raila mawe. Githurai, atina matusi, si mahasara, alright. Unafikiria ya kwamba hata yeye hana vijana? Si muliona ile ilitokea the next day? Sababu kama ni mawe Sababu kila mtu ako na story yake. Tupa ni tupe, ama kama ni kuongea tuketi kama na tuwe wangwana na tuendelee mbele pamoja. You know? Haina sijaribu kutumia kifua hapa. Hakuna mtu hana huo uwezo. Sisi isipokuwa ni kuzeeka kidogo, we were quite expert at some time before. Lakini sasa hiyo hatutaki na hatutaki vijana hiyo maneno.
All right. I don't know what comments you have to make about that. Especially at the time when you're talking about uniting the country, uniting the nation, we're also talking about the utterances, political utterances that are happening across the country. You know, about the political temperature to continue to rise. I mean, should this be coming from the president? This was in Sagana. Should this be coming from the president?
Bitok,
sorry.
The context in which the president spoke. And he spoke because of the things that happened in Githurai, where we have now people mobilizing gangs. I would call them gangs. Yeah? Yeah. We are mobilizing youths to fight, to actually control what we consider our spheres of influence and our geographical spheres of influence in the country. It's very sad. But the context in which the president spoke is that he was, you can see he was warning the youth that if you behave that way, then the other person should behave that, will also behave that way. However, at his level, as I said, sometimes some of these things that happen ought not to be said at that level, because he has a lot of people who can handle those issues. Be that as it may, you know, somebody could say it and say, is the president encouraging people to be engaging? If somebody throws a stone at you, you also throw a stone at the other. Maybe that is what the interpretation may be that by a lot of people, but in context, you can get the feeling that what he is saying that would happen. But then remember, he's the commander-in-chief. So even though he says he knows that would happen, he shouldn't say it, because the forces of law and order answer to him. In fact, his answer would be that mukifanya hivyo tena, mimi bado nimekalia usukani, nitatuma vijana wangu mnyoroshwe. Yes, a sitting government and a sitting head of state should never ever negotiate or even affirm the activities of a criminal gang or fellows who are causing violence to safeguard what I have said, political, geographical spheres of influence. Never. In fact, at that point, you don't say anything as a head of state. What you do is you take action, because everybody below you in the chain of command should just get your message.
So why is he not doing that?
As I've said, Bitok, you see,
because what would argue, and I keep wondering one
Yeah.
day, this is the president, like you said. The other day again, he was in Sagana and you were saying the youth deserve jobs, and he's a sitting president. You know, again, he's here. We're talking about violence, political violence and incitement, and he's telling us that we can also fight you. And he's a sitting president.
You see, Bitok, what I have said is that first, I find it sad, because you see, I served in government. I served in government right from the time of President Moi, President Kibaki. A sitting president does not need to go to the ground to talk to his people and threaten what government can do. No. The president is when we talk about him not just being the embodiment of the national unit, he's the preserve of our sovereignty. Okay, he's the vanguard of our sovereignty. When we say as a people, okay, When we say our president is attending, even when the US presidents were very unhappy with Gaddafi, he would still access the New York headquarters, the UN headquarters in New York, and speak his mind. Even 2 hours. Fidel Castro the same, because he embodies our statehood. Personally, I may not know, but having served in several governments, I think there is a problem somewhere, and the problem is at the level of the functionaries. Because these functionaries ought not even wait for the bidding of the president to take action. And if they took decisive action, we wouldn't be seeing some of these things. Just like the things we are seeing in places like Mandera and Capendo. They are happening because we have people on the ground who never take responsibility for the offices they hold. People are paid money. Apart from the president being president, there is also the question of accountability and responsibility by those who are paid salaries from public resources to do their job. Yes.
So actually, what's going on as we move forward? What's going on in Capendo, the violence in Capendo? And it seems like even the police cannot access that area. They even fear going to that area. We're losing more police than bandits, you know. And then someone was arguing the other day, then does it question the level of training of our police officers or security officers? The same thing is happening in Mandera. These guys keep penetrating our territories. Even after you said you're building a wall, there's someone who has been calling our correspondent in Mandera who has been giving me information on Mandera. They raid the whole village. They bring down boosters. And we are in a country that's sovereign. What's going on in the north and
yes,
in the other side?
Yeah. I joined our armed forces, now defense forces, when the former president Daniel Arap Moi, God bless his soul, was commander-in-chief. There is something in security operations we call having your ear on the ground. Intelligence is for the commander. Intelligence is never for the tacticians. Is never for the operatives. It is for the commander. And there is a clear chain of command for all our security and regimented forces. And that's where I will get to. If you look at the structure of our internal security forces, we had questions where people were asking whether the police were having parallel commands, because you had APs, you had the regular police, then you had GSU. But by a stroke of luck, we have now a combined command, a single command. Then we have units, specialized units. Then what is happening on the ground? Let me start with Capendo. A lot of people will ask, where is Capendo? Capendo is in Turkana East. But Capendo is actually closer to Churo Amaya in Baringo. Have you been there, Bitok?
I have not been there.
I have been there myself. I've been to, on the road, there is a ranch known as Mugi Ranch, which is on the Laikipia side. Then there is a road that cuts from Mugi Ranch going all the way to Tagul Bay. And Tagul Bay, yes, Tagul Bay. Yes, that's west. That's East Pokot.
It's East Pokot. Oh,
yes. Yeah. Then you have Amaya Valley. Amaya Valley, that is where the communities bury their hatchet when it is during the dry season. That's where the Pokot, Shuk, Karapokot, Saburu, communities from Laikipia, and even Isiolo, that's where they come down, bury their hatchet. You will be surprised. During the dry season, Amaya River remains. It remains. Every other river doesn't dry. So there are even certain trees there, traditional trees, where they have something they call loipi. I think that's in Saburu language. That's like a kindergarten for young babies. So mothers from all communities, you'll be shocked, leave their babies there with the care of a few others. They don't fight during the dry season, because if they fight, then all of them will perish. So first, I want to disabuse the notion that these people are not intelligent, because there has been that argument. These people are wise, because if you can have a Sabur child, a Pokot child, a Chamus child, a Turkana child, in that Loipi, being taken care of by 3 or 4 mothers, whereas the other mothers go out to look for food, and then their fathers and their elder brothers are out in Suguta Valley looking for the green pasture for their large herds of animals. Are those people not wise? They understand their environment better than anybody else. Now, if you are that area, what we call the Amaya Triangle, in Laikipia it starts at a place called Lonyek. Then you go to Losuk. In the Saburu side there is Sugta. Then you go to Amaya Valley. When you are in Lonyek or Losuk, the temperature is around 35 degrees, Bitok. When you descend down to Amaya Valley, the temperature rises to 47 degrees. You know the implication of that? You know the implication?
No, not at all.
Sunstroke. You can die of sunstroke. So we will pick young men and women who have trained in the police. We've joined the police. They are what we call Kababa and Kamama from Nairobi.
Mm-hmm. Kina Jaden.
Yeah, Kina Jaden. And then we take them to go and serve.
At 45 degrees.
At 45, 47 degrees. First, they've been told that kuwa askari ni kazi. It's employment. That's a notion I really dislike. And I will never, even where I have been in a position to help, I will never help anybody to join the forces. Bitok. I will not. Because that is something you commit yourself to. You know you can die. You are putting your life at risk. So having an incompetent person and a person who is not fully committed wearing a uniform to go and purport to enforce law and order, is that person is not only a danger to themselves, they are also a danger to society. And if you remember very well, 42 young men and women were slaughtered. Police officers, forget about recently, in 2012, in Suguta Valley, by bandits. By bandits. And that word bandits, I don't like using it, because when I was there, I did not see bandits. I will tell you what I saw.
What did you see?
You see, I have talked of a very expansive area. People in places like Central, Nyanza, Western will not understand. But when I talk about that, there is an area they call Kasilangwa zone. That is really occupied by the Pokots. Okay? And the only people you find there is total absence of government. What did I find there? You find Caritas International, Action Aid, Christian Children's Fund, and Save the Children. Those are the people on the ground running programs to assist our brothers and sisters there. Serikali iko wapi?
Iko Nairobi.
Iko Nairobi. You get the what we are talking about. So there is continuous and historical neglect of that area. There are no roads. Okay. Yes, I remember we in the military would go down there, go all the way to Ginyang. We construct roads, but the military can't be stationed there. It's not a static force. It will move. So after that, there will be rains, and you know the topography of that area is such that if there is heavy rain, like when we say in West Pokot, we have areas that are very high and others that are lowland, and you've seen landslides happen. So the roads again disappear. Who is supposed to maintain those roads after they've been done by the military? It's the county government or the national government. So that neglect is what makes these people feel that there is no, when you have only NGOs there, ask yourself this: how comes the last time I was in Amaya in 2006, I was going to deal with a program by Christian Children's Fund. How comes those people are not attacked by the so-called bandits? Yeah. Because that's their livelihood. Yeah. That's their source of...
It's their government.
It's their government. In fact, I dare say this, that those non-governmental organizations hold greater sway and say in those areas than the elected politicians as well as functionaries of government. Now, then what happens? So you see, as I have said, you're talking of very expansive areas. Kiambu as a county has a very high population. But you will be shocked that Kiambu as a county is in fact lesser in size, in geographical size, than one of the sub-counties in that area.
In West Pokot?
In East Baringo.
Oh yes,
East Baringo, and yes. Then you understand the expansive size of that area. And that makes it impossible to have boots on the ground or static units of government on the ground. And even mobility is very poor. So accessibility is almost nil. Now, when people know that, there is that area, we used to call it the Kenyan AK-47 corridor. Lonyek, Losuk, Kasilangwa, Sugta, Amaya. It's called right now the counties in that region, unknown to a lot of people, have created something called the Amaya Triangle Initiative. Because the boundary of Turkana, Baringo, Laikipia, Saburu, the four counties converge around Sugta through Amaya all the way to Malaso. That is the upper side of Suguta Marmar. But a lot of people who talk in Nairobi, because they make themselves experts, you have security experts who have never even fired a single bullet. They've never even been to
never left Nairobi.
They've never been to those places. Some of them have risen very high up in government. So they advise government. What advice can you give about places you don't know? What you can't even talk about what people do there. So I know what people do there, and I have seen what I saw. So what happens? Then, if these people, they are all, what is their source of livelihood? Their source of livelihood is livestock. Zero farming going on there in most of the places. There was an irrigation scheme around River Amaya. There was a boarding school there done by NGOs. Government was supposed to provide security for the school deep in the valley. And I have said, the valley is, you have 45 degrees in temperature at the hottest point. The teachers who are taken there, and unfortunately, and I know, again, who are from the other regions I've mentioned in Kenya, do you know people left even without being paid, Bitok? Because they couldn't stand the hostile environment and the weather. I mean, isn't it possible to train locals and let them handle it? Don't take people who don't understand that topography and who cannot live there. And I remember one point, an elder a Saburu elder telling me in Malaso, okay, and I was in uniform, and he said, ninyi muko hapa na hizi guo. Lakini jana wakora jangili alikuja akachukua ng'ombe. Jao, now the calves were left uko kwa ukule kwa bode. Sasa ninyi ataenda kwa kuchukua hiyo dama, hiyo jao. Now he is literally saying that the soldiers, the police from other regions of Kenya, they are not culturally attached to livestock. Yeah. So telling them to go and collect 10 calves in a valley where they were talking of 45 degrees, you think they would do that? No. It is the local home guards who again go down there.
Right. So you feel it's a protest. These people are protesting.
And the way they protest, remember now you've got communities again warring over the boundaries. Remember those areas also there are areas where there is water, there is resources, there is pasture. Others have water. And I've told you, it is only in the dry season where these communities always come together. When it rains, everybody begins to disperse, going back to there. You ask a Turkana in around Amaya, and you ask him, Ejogo, where is nyumbani? Ejogo, when nyumbani wapi? You know what it is? Hapa karibu Lodwa. Knowing the distance from Capendo to Lodwa is hundreds of kilometers. But he says his home is hapa karibu Lodwa. You know? That should tell you what those people think. So as they are going back to their region, something happens. Now remember, these Moranis have to go and marry. What is the commodity of exchange there? Is it cash money? Cows. So what do I need to go and marry? Cows. And so where will I get the cows?
You have to go and
yes. Sawa. So and that now when they are going back, so it is, if people who have been sent there as security officers, even county commissioners, assistant county commissioners, they know this, that it goes in a cycle. There are cycles where there is no violence. Which season are we in? In Kenya, we are in the dry season. So you expect the competition for those resources to be very high. And that neglect is what has made that there is always power play. That if your community has greater arms, firepower determines who controls access to pasture. And what I didn't find there are what people call bandits. No, I didn't see bandits there. What you find there are actually well-trained and very well organized and regimented community combat units. That's what I call them.
All right.
Yes.
Kabla sijakaribisha professor mwenyewe naona Ole Natemana anasema Captain Wanderi is well versed of the place. He's articulating issues in a sober way. I like this great mind. Dennis Oseko, congratulations, we talk the best show with a well-informed person. Mwangi wa Sami Mheshimiwa Laikipia anasema insightful Laikipia and those counties around Amaya triangle and insecurity conflicts with bandits now and then and require national government action soonest possible. Kibet Kiptui, when Ruto becomes president, may tap into such knowledge to people like captain, he should be our Kibicho, inshallah. Lawe Kimlaga Zama captain Wanderi knows my county Baringo. Dennis Oseko, the guy is fully informed. Well done, K. Ngeno. I really concur fully. I've worked in both Pokot and Turkana, and I'm glad someone is giving facts as it is. Live from Kadanga, South Muranga County, show ikolit. Hiyo ni Nzioka Senior. Kansela Tarus, naona ameingia pia. Stephen Barangetin, also from the audio, General Bitok, it warrants attention of ICC. Did I hear him say he was a specialist when he was? The evidence is coming out slowly. Reviving of ICC cases. Amosi.
Wow.
Wala ni arogosho.
Lo kumio mono.
Umerara sana.
No, safari bana imekuwa moja. Unajua saizi ya hibernation. Si unajua maisha yetu ya Nairobi. Kuamka saa 9, kulala saa 5. Sasa when I get the opportunity to hibernate, I really take it.
Unatandika.
Hata kama ni siku 3, I take it fully. So leo ilikuwa one of those days.
Ukarara kabisa.
Vizuri. I'm telling you. Unajua kwanza jana what I saw, I realized hata mimi nataka kuwa president. Hata mimi nitasimama because I think politics has attracted all idiots. Kila mtu na mimi unajua
mimi one of the idiots.
Mimi niko na judo. Unaona? Is that black belt? That one can help. Unajua kwa sababu rally sasa hii ukienda rally, kitu ya kwanza lazima ukae rada. Wewe unajua wewe ni security. Oh my goodness. Wewe you are best placed.
Professor, you don't have to worry. You will just hire me as a security man.
No, jana hawakumfikia kabla umfikia alikuwa ameguzwa. Unaona kitu mpya alifanya? Alikarada. I think hata mimi. I think politics has attracted everyone right now. Because jana I was so ashamed kuona news with my son. You know, he's just turning at teenage now. Sasa ako 13 hapo. I could not explain how judokas made it to TV. You know, na nimekuwa nikimwambia study hard, be a lawyer. You know,
dawa ni viongozi.
Akaniuliza baba, kwa nini ampia nai? Kaambia, you know, for the first time I'm proud to be a comedian. I'm walking with my head held up high. Because finally sanity has shown to us. I felt so good.
And at least you're in the business of making people laugh and relax. Those fellows actually left everybody tensed and angry.
In fact, you're fighting with a body right next there.
Yes.
Do you know how blind you have to be? Kupigana na mwili iko hapo. Familia iko hapo. Aibu ilikio.
Hata unaweza ingia kwa sanduku ndani bwana.
Hata aibu kubwa ilikuwa ni tunazika the wrong people.
You can actually imagine ule mtu alikuwa pale kwa sanduku angeamka by stroke of luck. Akuta watu wakipigana.
Anarudi tena vizuri sana, anaamua.
In fact unaweza sema nirudi kwa kaburi ni sasa nisipeleke kabisa nijipeleke. Because it is abnormal. You know, there was a time lawyers brawled in Bomas.
Yes.
I had a very big problem with my daughter who was in high school. And she kept asking me, Dad, I thought you said these you are honorable professions. You call yourself learned friends. Why were you fighting? And I had to tell her, no, my dear, we disagreed. We were disagreeing loudly. But she pretended I saw people throwing papers and kicks at each other.
I saw it.
And for the first time, I told her, but you know, I'm not just a lawyer, I'm also a security person.
Yeah, so I had to intervene.
Yes, you know, that's why I was trying to say to run away from that.
From the blame yourself. You're trying to exonerate yourself.
Yes. Wow, but you see, this is the example we are showing our children.
Yes.
And, you know, because of that, I don't want you to cover the you have your camera. I want you to show.
This is your camera.
This one. I only want you to show there. You see that? Those pictures.
The blame game.
The blame game.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you've seen that. Yeah. Then I want you to see. This is something I wrote way back in the year 2008. 2008.
Yeah.
Yes.
The life of an expatriate.
Okay.
Surviving.
Is it this one?
No, sorry.
This one. No, this is what I wrote in 2008.
Better management of schools.
Several tips for globe-trottling professions.
Okay. Yes. Okay. And why did I write this? Because I've been lucky. I say it's luck. I've done very many things in life, and I've not lived for long. I've been participated in the management of public schools for a whole 20 years. From 1998, I was first appointed a board member in a public school by, I think, Professor Samuel Geri or the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. That time you'd received the letter directly from the minister.
Allah.
And so I know a few things about strikes in schools, about misbehavior by teenagers. And you're talking, you see, they are seeing what adults are doing.
Yes.
Okay, they are seeing that people cannot engage in dialogue to drive a point. They know that people are using the force, the reason of force to drive an agenda, not the force of reason. So that's the example we are giving to our children. And you see, the reason I brought this is because we are facing the similar situation. That in 2008, 2009, there were massive strikes in schools. I had just served 10 years in the board. Okay. Then came 2011, 2012, another spate of strikes going all the way to 2014, and a lot of arson in schools. Then the cycle has come back again.
Yes.
But you know what our CS Cabinet Secretary for Education is suggesting? He's suggesting returning Kiboko. Now, the question I keep asking myself is, you have bureaucrats employed by government. People who are expected to have knowledge because they are holding PhDs, they are holding this. You see, yesterday I tuned into a few media stations, just flipping, and I was shocked. I'm seeing Dr. So-and-so, Dr. So-and-so talking about education management. And the first question I would ask myself, which institution did you ever manage? Do you even manage a kindergarten? I have managed public schools. When I wrote this article, I was a board member in 2 schools, and I was chair of one which has had 546 students. Okay? That school got banned in 2011 by rioters. And I was like, hey, I thought I had done very well. And I thought I'm using the experience I've gained elsewhere to manage the institution. And so there's something I haven't done. I completely changed tact. The way I manage that institution. First, let us ask ourselves, the minister and his people at the county level now appoint boards of governors or boards of management in schools. Bitok, are you a member of any board of management?
In my former primary school, yes.
In a secondary school?
No.
HAMO, are you?
In a secondary school.
Are you a board member?
Yes.
You are a board member?
Yes.
Because you can contribute something.
Yes.
You have some knowledge. Now, what is the caliber of the other people you are serving with?
Well, mostly available people. It is. Are you there? Where uko around?
Retirees.
Because the first question in Akuaga, are you available for meetings every Monday? Yes. Bas, huyu ndio tunaweka. Huyu ndio
retirees. Okay?
Huyu ndio shama.
Huyu ndio shama. Tayari unajua the moment you tell yourself I'm retiring, hata Mungu anaweza kunyang'anya hewa. Because exactly umemaliza kazi. Retirement is a very dangerous word. And those are the people we have taken to
reabsorb them into us.
Na ukumbuke alikuwa wapi? Alikuwa Ministry of Health. Mahali alifundishwa ukifika kitu ya kwanza ni nini? Toa koti. Weka hapa. Na enda rudhuri, fanya biashara zako. Utarudia koti jioni.
You now begin to see where the problem starts. So this was the genesis of my piece, because I was asked by the church, by the local PCA church, to chair the school board, but I also give them conditions. If you nominate people because they can say Mungu asifiwe and they are available, I will refuse to participate. Because I'd never want to serve. Let me shock you. 20 years I have served in school boards. I signed less than 5 checks. In those 2, I can count them because I have the copies. I think there are 4. Because I don't need to go doing what is called micromanaging an institution. I am an intelligent person. I need to set up systems and processes to tell me what is happening in the institution. But let me go back to what happened after the strikes and the banning of the school. I knew something is not right here. Then let me ask you, HAMO, have you ever seen students banning a library?
Never. They don't even go to libraries.
Where do they ban? They ban
dormitories.
Dormitories and the dining hall. So where would the problem be, Bitok? Where would the problem be? You are dealing with gastronomical issues, issues of the stomach.
Period.
You are dealing with issues of the stomach. Now, what is in the dormitory? is a place you sleep.
Yeah.
Now, when you left home, you've seen the American general who said if you want to start a good life, you start by having
spreading a bed.
In the morning.
Now, I will change you the notion. It's not about because that's the first task you complete in the day. That's the American version. Let me tell you the British and the Commonwealth version. The human body and the human mind is the largest organ. Maybe not in terms of size, but in terms of functionality.
Yes.
If you dress nicely, like you woke up dressed nicely, you see, Bitok is smart, you're smart.
Yes.
So what do you feel about yourself?
Correct.
Your mind registers that I am okay.
Oh, yes.
Now, when you go back home, what do you go home back to do? To rest.
Yeah.
So you already left a well-prepared place to rest. So your mind is also composed. In other words, making a bed is a game of the mind. Yeah. And so these students know that after days 12, you need to go and rest your miserable bones. Do you rest them on broken metal?
No.
So you see what I'm talking about? That tells you need to change tact in the way you manage public institutions.
In fact, there is a new wave that teachers need to be trained in paramilitary techniques. I mean, for security.
Exactly. And the reason is because the people prescribing solutions don't even know what they're talking about. A teacher is a professional.
Yes.
You say there's a comedian.
Yes.
Where huendi kupiga watu?
No.
Why should a teacher fight students? Bitok, I will tell you, it's a lie because I solved the solution of the strikes very easily.
So what's the solution?
Now, I have talked about initially the caliber of managers you're employing. Number 2, they are the pain areas. And I have mentioned there is food, which is gastronomical issues. And there is also the aura or the rest. Why do you call a restaurant? Because it has the aura of rest. Yeah. Even if you want to sleep in a mental break. Yes, you need to sleep in a good place.
Yes.
Do you know, you good people, that a majority of the people who are served in school boards of management do not know where the students they are supposed to manage sleep.
Hawajai pita hapo kwa ofisi. Naona administration broke.
You understand?
Ukipita
they have never passed. So I had one rule. I would set the meetings, especially where I was board chair, at 9:30. Believe you me, I would be in the school at 8:45. And I would never enter the principal's office for Madazi and tea fast. By the time the principal is calling the meeting or the other members have arrived, I have surveyed the entire school compound, entered each and every dormitory. And I am the chairman of the board.
Yeah.
So there is no school mistress or boarding master who is going to tell me that the girls or the boys' dormitory is clean or this.
I
know. I saw. I saw. And so I know what I am managing.
Yes.
And I understand it. And I understand. Sometimes the boys told me in a school that, chairman, it is good you have come. We have 4 bathrooms. We are now 500. We are supposed to be sleeping, to be showering here. And you have to wait for somebody. And I told the principal, so how much money does it take you to build an extra row of bathrooms? The boys also told me that, there are those in Form 4. I mean, they are growing, isn't it?
Yes.
Walikuja hapo wakiwa watoto wako na dev. Do you think they want to expose themselves to the youngsters who have come in Form 1? Simple logic. Logic. So I told the principal, so we can have bathrooms on the other side for these jamas wenye sasa karibu wanakuwa wazazi.
The taris.
So that they can shower in their comfort. Yeah. Now, are those not practical and simple solutions? Then I go to the kitchen. Number 1, these students will be served breakfast if it's on a Saturday. I don't want to be sitting in the principal's office niletewe kuku madazi. Mimi nataka kunywa ile chai watoto wanakunywa. You get?
Yeah.
So that means the caterers and the matron know that chairman, okay, as they would call me, captain, wakili, chairman, that I can get to that school any day, anytime unannounced. And I will go directly. And I knew the cooks, all of them.
Yes.
By name. Because if these cooks make bad food, you have a riot. If these cooks give children food that is not adequate, you have a riot. I mean, we can't appoint sensible people who have the energy to do such simple things as board managers.
I think as a society we have complications. Ndio maana Gong Road tuko na taa lights za barabara na polisi 8 hapo nje. Ndio wanafanya nini? Ama wao ndio wako na battery. Labda hao ndio wamebeba battery. Unajua tuambiagwe tu ukweli. Do you have complicating things? I mean, ni sasa kama saa barabara sijui nani ameamua anytime kuna kasnalap kadogo we have to overlap. Lazima tutoke kwa line yako
automatic,
niingie kwa line ya watu wengine, tufinyane. Ndio
unajua ni kwa nini professor?
There
is something called my car mentality.
Oh yes,
my car.
People of my car.
Now, yes. You know, when I was in uniform, you know, we would be told at Pangani roundabout, you know, we in military uniform, we want to go somewhere. Our timings are very clear.
Yes.
And, you know, the police would clear for us. Sometimes we would do it ourselves.
Munatoka
I would tell the askari, where sergeant, shukeni hii jam mtoe.
Mfugwe.
So even the matatu guys there know that, or even the people with private cars. But you've never seen, yes, a Kenyan with a private car. A private car, gari yangu.
Inaitwa my car.
My car.
Umekuza my car.
It's the very epitome of ufika.
Mimi nime
actualization. Mimi nimeomoka. Mtu akiwa na gari. And then this, you would expect that the people wameomoka ni wale at least akili yao iko juu kidogo. Now let us ask ourselves, you are talking about a corporal. Why should the corporal askari alipata grade D awe anafungulia barabara mtu ya degree? When mtu ya degree hujui kwamba ukiingia intersection na mwingine aingia mtakwama hapo masaa 5. Yaani wewe unaendesha gari kama akili iko kwa mfuko. If you just give the other person 2 minutes to go, hata wewe
utafika.
But sasa, you know that my car. Yes. You know there is some level of hedonism. You know, ni kama there is some pressure. Umekuwa pumped up na pressure. You know, sometimes when you had, I remember the former president Daniel Arap Moi one time saying that you can be a professor, you know, so professor. But utanyoroshwa na corporal. But that is what is happening to our society. But let me finish on school management. There will be sasa what else I discovered. You know, we have this thinking that those students are they are kids and they are not wise. And this is a solution I want to prescribe to the minister. Okay? Because it is a real source of skirmish in schools. You were in a school in Form 1.
Yes.
Then you went to other classes and other classes. A student in Form 4 today is only left with 2 months in the school. Kweli bitok?
Kweli.
One in Form 3 is left with basically with 1 year. One year. So if you have a project in the school, you want to start a project in 2021 or 2022, who is going to use those facilities you are building? Is it the one who is living in Form 4?
Or the one
who is joining in Form 1?
Yeah, Form 1.
But you have managers who cannot think. So if I want a school bus or a school generator, the guys in Form 4 are only going to use it for a few months. Yeah. So should they pay the 20,000 like every other parent?
No.
And you think these students are not wise? They are very wise. And I would sit down with the teachers and parents and the students themselves. Yeah. And I will tell the ones in Form 1, tumenunua bus. Bus ni 6,000,000. Wala wako Form 1 watatumia hiyo bus miaka ngapi?
4.
Wala wako Form 2 watatumia miaka ngapi? 3. Form 3 mwaka moja ama 2. Form 4 1 year. So who should pay less?
Was it Form 4?
Logic. Yes. Does that require what does that require? It simply requires a very small skill of management. But as we say, the caliber of guys we got, and that is why in 2014, when there was another wave of banning of schools, I had become an expert because I knew the pain areas. These students know that their parents paid fees. These students know that I'm only going to be here for 9 months. Kwa nini unaniambia nilipe 8,000 ya basi?
You know,
ama 10,000.
Bitok. You know, hii kuna shida kubwa sana. Our education was rigged from the word go. Hey, makosa ilianzia wapi? When we made education simply for grading.
Yes.
Na ndio maana tulikuwa tunangangana sana. Watoto watatu number 1 2 3 tunawabeba juu. Ukipata A, we knew you are a doctor. Usituambie wewe unataka tunafikiria kitu kingine. You are a doctor. We know. But sasa uko kwa hospitali, you are a doctor but your heart is a mortician. Unataka kuona dead bodies. No wonder we were rigged. If education was only for grading and nothing else. I went to a school hiyo Greenstead hapo iko Nakuru. after nimemaliza high school, immediately nikaitwa, they wanted to give me a scholarship. Sikuwa nimejua wanataka kulipisha gapi. So nilipoenda, they wanted to give me a scholarship ya rugby. I was playing rugby then. Kufika, and I saw what was happening. Everybody felt, nikapelekwa kwa one of the classes. Unasikia huyu is good in mathematics, huyu is a rugby player, and they are all celebrated the same way. So it's a class of peers. Wacha nikwambie, kuja kwetu ujaribu kusema ati wewe ni mnoma rugby, hata uende ushinde America urudi, yes, bila hiyo bado hatukuona wewe ni stupid, because whatever you are good at, yes, was not vilified. Iliwekwa chini, college itoshi. I'm
very happy professor you say.
That's why we have a problem. Watu unasema mtu ako na A, PhD, yes, yes, anaifanya tu ndio aweze kupanda grade, atoke G aende F. Na ni akili
in and year out, yes, mtu wako kwa street. Let me tell you some of the best old boys I have from that school.
Yes.
I have one called Kimani. He's in Australia. One of our best artists. I went to Nyeri County one day during a governor session when he was meeting the youth. And the governor thought another governor competitor has arrived, because the fellows I met there, and some of them, because what you said, because you have a bit of exposure, I realized every time we are only giving the best number one. I started doing the reverse: best musician,
yes,
best dressed, best footballer. And those guys, a few of them have joined the police force. So I have a few OCSs who salute me and tell you, na mkubwa ulitusaidia. When I started having guest of honor to kuleta kwa shule, you think I would take a professor?
No.
No, sorry for professor. I would take you.
Zingine we are busy.
You know, I know the caliber of the students I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
So mimi nataka kuleta. Do you know I used to take even police sergeants, and I tell them I would request their seniors, later wacha wakuje na uniform. OCS later inspector akuje na. So the students learn to see the things that they can practically do. Not telling them that you want A's, but how many people have A's in this country? And what do we have with what are our graduates doing?
Isi wanakata saizi wanatengeneza, wanafagia town. Inaitwa kuokoa. Inaitwa nini? Kazi mtaani.
Alafu wanatembea na brown envelopes. You know, and we know what pays best in this country: art, music, sports, internationally.
Niulize, ni shule ngapi? Si we have career fairs,
yes.
Ni wapi university gani ishaita hata Mariga? Iongeleshe Mariga mtu anatengeneza 10 million a week.
Yes.
Baka pesa yake hezi ekewa mwezi mzima, itakuwa too much. Analipa weekly kama mtu wa mjengo. Ndio pesa mingi. But you've never tapped into his brain.
Yes.
Umuuliza, how do you manage? Mimi najua kuna mtu sasa ukimpatia 20,000 inamuongelesha town. Lakini Mariga unamlipa 4 million, na bado ana show up to exercise asubuhi mapema. Hakuna pesa ya kwenda Dubai kesho, lakini ataenda. Ataamua, hey, niko na game. Tap into that brain. But you're not tapping.
And discipline.
You know that
let the professor Degwa.
That is how we get it all wrong, you know, because our focus is on ourselves.
Yes.
You know? And I remember asking the students, what do you feel about the school? And they would tell me, Chairman, you know, this school is ours. And one student asked me, Chairman, hii shule iko na ng'ombe. Sisi ndio saa zingine tunalisha hii ng'ombe.
Yes.
Tunaona mkiuza. Kwa nini hamwezi kutuchijia moja? There are several bulls.
Yes.
You know, I got very challenged, and I told the principal one day, look, mwalimu, hii dama moja hatutauza.
Bas.
We will fatten it.
Yes.
Today, Professor HAMO and Bitok.
Yes.
If you go to Mwero High School,
which was a former detention camp.
CAPT. Yeah?
Yes, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
We are great.
Wageni wazuri sana.
Asante.
Wasalamie.
Tumesalimika.
Now, I love the way you've analyzed the issues in schools.
Yes.
And being a young person, and also being somebody who has been to a few schools lately, I would also want to maybe add and say, don't you think that also the problems that a child in Eldoret would not be the same problems that a child in Nairobi is experiencing? Yet the policies we have by the government are same throughout the country. And so when you go to one place and compare the things the students are going through, as much as there are similar issues, the ones that Mgeni amezungumzia, there are others that are so particular to that particular place. And you find solutions won't be there, because actually most of the time when you talk to even when you might be there's a school that has rioted and the parents are called, and you listen to the solutions that are being given against those that have been given by the government, you notice that most policies zinatoka kwa serikali zikikuja shuleni. Not the other way, whereby we have people now from the ground telling the government, this is what is happening here and we would want you to do this for us. And so one of the problems I've just observed of late is that the solutions should be tailored for particular places, like for particular regions, because whatever we're going through in this region might not be the same thing that another region is going through.
Okay, having a bottom-up approach instead of bottom-up.
Exactly. Uh-huh. Exactly. So even in the currently we are rolling out CBC. Yeah. And my imagination is that I wished we had the teachers giving the policy, proposing the policies, asking the teachers, what actually are you facing as a teacher? Asking even the school environment, people, the subordinate staff. I believe that we have such an approach, then we can get better solutions than somebody mwenye ameketi kule Nairobi akisema, now this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. When you talk to the teachers, they tell you this thing is not practical because it doesn't apply to that particular student.
Vitu kwa ground.
Yeah, vitu kwa ground is different. Just in addition, just to add on it, yes. you find a situation now where might be the recent past we've had the minister coming, labda anaingia kwa shule mahali within 20 minutes, fire principal and all that, and it looks as if they are working. But what can you do in a school in 20 minutes? Walk into a school in 20 minutes, the minister is saying, labda naenda leo Kiambu County, and anataka kuvisit 20 schools in a day.
And to fire people they don't know.
So you reach there, you tell somebody, hey, my friend, this is bullshit, I want to fire you, go home. But you don't know what that person has been going through.
Yes.
Yeah, so I feel as if we are in a country whereby the policies are coming from the wrong people. And as much as somebody can be a professor, I might beat them within my environment because I understand my environment better. Or somebody, you find somebody who's been in management for 20 years. They would understand management better than a professor when I'm a mpaka kule juu.
Right. He's absolutely right. You know?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, MC Kali.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's absolutely right.
Asante sana kwa siku njema.
Salamia HAMO.
Kabisa nimesalamika. In fact, it is important that as a professor I have a right of reply. Kuna kitu hapo tumegogwa mara kadhaa. Ndio kuteta. Kwa sababu the truth is, as a professor, when you get your first degree, unaendaga kijijini ukiambia watu hata wewe ndio unapatia watu ideas because it's your first degree. You know so much of so little. When you become a professor, you know so much of one thing and you understand here kumbe hii dunia ni kubwa sana. That's why our biggest problem, and this is the challenge, our education system, I said it is rigged. Why? Because you are never taught to be curious. Ulikuwa ukiuliza mwalimu a question, anakuambia that one will not come to the exam, you're wasting our time. Tuende kwa kitu kingine. And then ukiingia kwa dunia unaambiwa be curious, come up with ideas, lakini you are never trained to be curious. Sasa shida yetu ndio maana tunatengeneza blanket solutions. Saizi kuna makaratasi mengi, policy papers.
Yes.
We never heard of this document you wrote. Do you know why? It is not important for us now. It is not making money for me.
Yes.
Yeah, ndio maana tutaweka mali kule bajazo. Do you know what we'll read? The pulse.
Yes.
Na kuoneshwa Vera Sidika amefikisha wapi mwili.
Nilikuwa naitwanga insider.
Hiyo tutasoma sana, but policies.
Na nani alipiga nani?
Yeah. That's why and you're trained. Hata ukienda kwa hiyo ministry, you give a professor job ndio hiyo. Lakini curtailing ili iko pale. Hata unaambiwa ukikuwa pembe sana, tumeona wengi wakikuja wakienda. Wewe fuata maagizo. Don't think too much, Don't think too much. And it is the training.
Na hiyo kitu umekalia ni pesa.
Yeah, kumbuka.
Hiyo kitu umekalia ni pesa.
Tafadhali jenga vizuri. Saizi with all the brilliance you have, if you're taken into government right now, I give you 2 years tukuone na kesi. Isikupenda kwako because it is rigged. And I'm telling you. So the only solution now is, and I think hii hanga tuko nayo imetusaidia na kitu moja. Tumefika hiyo level ya tuko kwa ukuta. No wonder Kenyans right now are not paying attention to jana uliona furaha nilikuwa nayo. Nilipoona watu badala watoke waende wapigane, walikuwa wanapiga makofi. what the fuck nini wakiona MP wao wakipigana
Wanaona movie.
If that was and I want us to be Kenyans tukue hivyo to stand back. Si wewe ndio unajua siasa, wewe ndio unakulaga pesa ya siasa, si wewe ndio unafuguaga barabara hapa hujai experience jam, si unakuja na siren. Sasa si hata wewe pigana, wacha tukuone
Pumzika kidogo hata sisi.
Tukimaliza
Lata glucose.
because to Milan in Kenya if you are successful you'll be punished. Ukikuwa chojo saa hii ni kwa mnoma biashara. KRA wananipigia hata watanitumia message. Kuna kitu tulisahau ya 2016.
In fact they tell you dear
dear alafu anaongea rudely after that.
Na sasa there's always a question I've asked myself.
Yes.
You know, I have a problem with bureaucrats who sit in the office too much.
Yes.
I also sat in offices. But I have done a lot of businesses in this country.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that I studied law, I have owned matatus in Nairobi. I have so I know how they work.
Oh my goodness.
I have owned a bar in Gikomba.
Guy.
Not along Gong Road.
No, Gikomba.
In Park Road, I've had a pool table. In Kirinyaga Road, I've had a spare part shop. I have tried everything. Unajua ukizaliwa kwa umaskini, you hustle your way up by whatever means, by whatever way. And sasa, you have somebody sitting somewhere writing you a letter. Because I see now, because I also consult for people, somebody writes you a letter telling you owe this, we want you to pay this.
Yeah.
In the same week, you receive another letter from the same government department asking you other things. You know what I told the taxpayer the other day? You don't work for these people.
No.
These guys are just lazy bureaucrats sitting in offices, just churning out letters, sounding big titles. Saa nne ifike wakunywe chai, saa saba they stroll, they go for lunch. They do not know what it means to create a business in this country.
Yeah.
Professor, to have an SME in Kenya.
Yes.
To have a bureau, photocopy and typing and cyber cafe. Do you know you require 7 licenses? 7. And that's in Nairobi County.
A catalog.
Yes. 7
licenses.
I have a neighbor, a young lady, and she told me, this place is impossible.
Yes.
Her husband is a police officer. And she told me that the only reason I haven't closed is because they fear my husband. Because the 2 licenses, I have 5. 2 are impossible to obtain. And now it was in November last year, and she was telling me, since COVID closed, they still require me to pay for 1 month for the whole year. Then you ask yourself, this guy who comes, he has no reason, no rationale, no logic. You expect somebody to pay 20,000 to use the license for 2 months, whereas business has been closed. You get? Those are 7 licenses. To run a food processing unit in this country. Because I have people who are asking and I take them through the steps. We've tried for some. I've been trying for somebody to get all those things for the last 4 months. It requires 11 pieces of paper. Now, you are asking somebody out of school, out of college to do that. Then after the business peaks, it is true, yes. Every 100 shillings you make in this country, 30 shillings belongs to the government by law. This is KRA tax. But then that person engaging in that policy should know that there is incubation period for business. You are asking young people to innovate using technology. We are here because we're using technology. Then we say Bitok is an influencer, so we charge him some tax.
Digital tax.
Taxation of the digital media and the media platforms. It's an area I've studied. There is a lot. You see, the only thing that people are seeing is the 3 of us here. They don't know there is something happening in the back office. They can't see.
They can't see all this.
Yes. And there is some input. So in that input, there is a value chain. So when you tax the end product, it means you expect that along the way, there was some input. So you only see the end product. But you don't know what goes in. what Professor HAMO did to create it. There was a script writer.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. There were editors involved. Okay. There is a platform media involved.
Yes.
And that, getting into it. And what shall we do because of that? You know what we'll do? We'll create content and then stream it in other countries where there is sense that shows people that you need to nurture talent first before you even think of taxing it. Because you don't tax, you don't cut the tree branches for taxes. No, you wait for the fruit to mature.
Kula fruit.
Na
uache mti endelee kumeza.
Na ujue kwamba hiyo mtu inatumia fertilizer. Inalimiwa.
Yes.
Inataka bolea. Inataka pesticide. Sio kwamba wewe umeona tu mti unasema sasa wacha nikate hii branch. Serious?
You know a good friend of mine nyumbani huko Nakuru. Ako na kinyozi. Na hiyo kinyozi haina, si unajua one space ni ya vio.
Yes.
Vio. The rest of the part ni ya kuweka licenses.
Yes.
Sawa, zimewekwa huku juu. Yaani hata ana picha moja unajua kitambo ilikuwa kwa kinyozi kuna picha. Yes. Hata ya nio ya kuonesha picha ambazo ukoshua utapata hiyo haircut. But iko. Sasa hivi hakuna hiyo nafasi. Ni kaju. Baka akaniambia sasa hizi ni kama drug dealing. Unakuwa peddler.
Yes.
Na kinyozi ujuane na lawyer, polisi, ndio survive kwa soko.
Neema,
kuna mtu wako
National Construction Authority.
Niko na mtu wangu wa stima. Naongeaga na yeye ndio nijue kama wanakata next week.
It is I tell you, the few months I have been going around, I have one challenge.
Yes.
For whoever, I don't know whether it is the current president or the one who will come next.
Yeah.
This country is going to grind to a halt. You cannot tax some people into poverty so to make others prosperous. You can't. You cannot expect a young person, a young graduate out of school, as we were saying.
Yes.
How many things do you think, papers you think you require even to apply for a job? Help, clearance, what? All those things cost money. Even to go to a lawyer, have the form for EACC commissioned is money. I do it for free for graduates. In fact, what I have done is told all of them, since you will keep applying for jobs, kuja na hiyo form. Mimi nakupigia form nyingi muhuri.
Beba hizo
enda we ukijaza tu. Because I understand the pain these young people have to go through. This requires money. Somebody has already spent 10,000 even before applying for a job which he or she is not sure to get. Simple licenses, very difficult, But look at it. Government creates something called a multi-agency team for government to deal with organized crime, tax evasion, money laundering, and the threat of terrorism. Okay? It's good for prevention, for tackling crime. But what is the source of the crime? It's lack of livelihood.
Yes.
So a sensible person would then have created a similar task force, bring the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Agriculture, the Trade Ministry, bring them together and create a small unit, a team that meets at both county level, national level, to talk about the business environment. Because without enterprise and innovation, the youth in this country will remain down. And I want to give you talked about the licenses.
Yes.
I want to give you now a practical example. From Naivasha to Kitengela is a distance of about 110 kilometers. Utapitia how many counties? Utapitia Nakuru, Kiambu,
Nyandarua.
Nyandarua
pale kidogo,
alafu Kiambu, Nairobi, Kajiado, Machakos, then Kajiado. Hizo ni county ngapi? A distance of now Bitok. You want to buy things. So you bought something in Naivasha. You paid parking to Nakuru County government. Kuja simama hapo soko Mjinga, utalipa Nyandarua.
Nyandarua County.
Yes, ingia hapa Limuru ama usimame along the road Kikuyu. Utalipa Kiambu. Toka hapo ingia Nairobi. Utalipa
Nairobi,
then Machakos.
Lipa Machakos.
Utalipa. Then Kitengela utalipa. Let me ask you a question. Even as we talk about trade and investment in this country, are we making laws? Do we audit the type of laws we make and whether they make any sense to business? The best gift, perhaps, if you were to take my advice, President Uhuru Kenyatta would do, if I were him in 18 months left, is to really focus on that. Business, enterprise, and innovation.
And the question is, even as you mentioned that, then I'll give it to Wanderi. Captain, you mentioned about advice. A lot of people would wonder who sits around the president, because the decisions that they make, policy decisions, you'd sit back, even as a person who has never stepped in a class, and ask yourself, so what actually advises this man? When you look at Kibaki never spoke. You could never see Kibaki on the public domain, but you could see what he's doing. You could see people around him speaking, ministers and all that were shaping policy. You could see policy decisions that were made. Kibaki never took so much loss to finance a budget. Actually, never took to finance budgets. He took to finance projects. Money directly going to a project. Took a super highway. Projects directly. The budgets were financed by local collections a larger time. Today, we even have to go and borrow extra money to fill up the budget. You mentioned something which is very fundamental. I remember yesterday, Sir Eric Mwangi from Maridadi Motors, the CEO, he was talking about business, how licensing works. And and even look at devolution, it does not serve to make the life of Mwananchi easier. It does continue to increase the burden. You're giving us more taxmen and more crooks, government crooks on the way. You need a license if you're doing a business today and you want to, maybe like you're saying, you want to transition through counties. You need license if you're living in Nairobi, a license in Nairobi. When the license ya Nakuru, you get license ya labda bahati mbaya uingie diversion, uingie Kericho County ulipe, na unaenda Kisumu ama Eldoret. By the time you're done with your journey, probably you've lost almost 30% of your income that you're getting in. And you wonder, why do you have so much duplication in the ways the government system works? And the president, like you said, you're saying, if the president listens to me, do you think the president is surrounded by the wrong people if this guy does not listen completely?
No, he's not surrounded by wrong people. Everybody chooses their company.
Or you attract yourself.
Yeah, you choose your company. Freedom of assembly and association. You see, some of us have carried historical disadvantages on the tag of peasantry. And I will tell you, and I'll be very honest with that. It doesn't matter how bright or intelligent you are. It doesn't matter how much you know. And I say I am very grateful to this country and God. I've been to many places we talk about it. And I've gathered massive knowledge. Locally and externally. Government has also sponsored me for very good training. And that is public cost. I'm not going to thank any functionary in government. I thank the citizens who pay the taxes.
I see you also have a
but
citizen.
You see,
I see we have a citizen on call. Wacha tusikie pia mwananchi anasema jambo. Hello?
I have a son in Bitok. You know, there was a time I went to a meeting somewhere and I was very privileged. In that meeting, I was the youngest. I had taken my CEO of a private audit firm. But in that meeting, there were 4 billionaires. Non-billionaires, not government thieves. And one of them asked me, how did you get all these papers? And you're very young. And I told him I have moved many places. And I'm very curious. Very curious. When people start worrying in an area, I want to understand why, what goes on there. Why? And I like inquisition and inquiry. Because as you say, that is what we should be engaging in. But I realized when I said my name, the first question he asked me, Wanderi, he said, is that Wanderi so and so who chaired this and this? I said, no. Then he said, it's okay. That means you are irrelevant. So it's a question, those are what you call the optics of surnames. The optics of surnames. Those optics of surnames is the reason this country will remain backward and undeveloped. Because as long as we do not know your father, how will you know my father? He's a peasant coffee farmer and dairy farmer in the village. He is not me. That's my history. So deal with me. Deal?
Wachana na mzee.
Deal with me.
Yake akanitoa.
Yes.
Amekuletea a gift.
He has done his part. His part.
Yes.
I do not begrudge anybody who has a good surname. That's their luck.
Ni sawa.
But I have a problem who use the optics of surname to marginalize others. To marginalize denigrate and humiliate others, I don't want to worry about domination, because domination is a question, of course, a bit talk. You can take it from me. I am promoting my name because my children will bear my name. And I write. You see, I've written a lot. I usually tell my daughter, who is sitting for KCSE, that the reason I give you the name Duta Wanderi is because I want you, when you grow up, you can talk about your father.
Yes.
I have left a footprint in this world. For you. You will build on that platform. Do the same. You are young.
Yes.
You do the same. But I would not want to discriminate, humiliate, and denigrate a person because I do not know
Their father.
The surname does not give an history.
Or the surname does not resonate. I have been a victim myself. In fact, that's why I dislike this notion of tribalism. The people who have hurt me most because of my surname are actually my community. Yes. They are the worst when it comes to this double discrimination. Because unless your name, somebody asks you, is this Wanderi so and so? You say no. I mean, you've been dismissed.
Yeah.
You are not relevant.
You're done.
You are done. Yet, in this world of today, we are no longer competing with those optics. We're in a competition of ideas.
Yes.
We're in a competition of ideas. How can Africa and Kenya survive if we get the worst because they have the correct surnames?
Anyway, we finish in 10 minutes. I don't know if you have any comments.
There's something that happened this week. Last week I went to Dar es Salaam for a show. And jana, somebody just stopped me. Huko Kiratina. Kaniuliza, sasa unajua wewe vile jina imekuwa. Sasa unatakiwa kujaribu ukue MP sasa. Nikamuuliza, MP wangu anajulikana the next constituency. Unajua hata MP wangu ni nani? You don't even know. But you know Professor HAMO. Anajulikana Kongo. You know, it's like downgrading me to tell me to go to bunge. Unanitoa kwa dunia. Unanitoa kwa dunia. In fact, a funny thing happened. Niko kwa ndege. Tukitoka JKIA. Wachina kadhaa wamevaa PPEs. Nguo ya white. Wamevaa fully. Wacha tufike Dar es Salaam. They were the first one kutoa hizo vitu. Mpaka nikauliza, what do you know that we don't? How mumeamuaje saa hii hapa tuko safe? You know that nini ndio mnajua hii corona. You are telling us nini ndio mnajua. Sasa hii mmetoa hata wameanza kuhag na wanapiga story. I realize the moment you forget that you're fighting you start fighting for Nairobi, you're fighting for a small city.
Yes.
The world is waiting. The world is your oyster. Go. Say tulikuwa naambiana hapa. You'll be punished for being successful in Kenya. That is why the world is calling us.
Yes.
That is why Rwanda next week inaenda show. And I'll have to go. And endelea kama mtaki kusikia, mtanisikia nikirudi kutoka Hollywood. Keep going. Endeleeni kufight. Endeleeni kunifungia mipaka na kuninyorosha na taxes. Ni sawa. But ideas are what will be celebrated. Na ndio hizo zina celebrate huko.
Beyond the border.
We go beyond the border. Nduru na shangwe. Waendelea kurenga. You are wasting your resources. And then, let me ask you. We lost an opportunity. Because there was an airlift program. Ya Kennedy, sindio?
Yes.
Akachukua baba ya Obama. Imagine, Obama was taken from us. Because of our... You know, mtu akiwa America. Aliamua. Akakuwa generous. Kasema, I look for the bright guys. Hata kama walikuwa na ulterior motives, ni sawa. But generosity yake iliwapelekea Obama.
Yes.
Saizi sisi tunamuoneaga from the movies tukisema ni wetu. Mimi ni wa Kogalo. Kogalo nini? He is not ours. He is not ours. I'm telling you.
Lazima you are related. Mama yangu na mama yake ni wa mama.
And you know, angalia, tumefika hapo. You know there was a culture in Saperi land, in Kikuyu land. Mahali papote palikuwa na makutano ya barabara. Kulikuwa na ile gala. Unaona hiyo ya chakula. That wewe ukikuja na doma zako, naeka kidogo unachukua ile nyama yenye hauna. Mwingine anakuja and we were generous. That's why we were prosperous in those days. The moment tulifunzwa hii tabia ya kujifichia kila mtu, mimi ndio nakunyanyasa. Imagine if I import a car today, I pay 30% duty. And then on top of that 16% VAT. Sawa? Tayari by the time nafikisha gari nimelipa half of the price. Kama gari ni 6 million, nimeongeza 3 million juu, na hiyo ni pesa imeenda, and then I will still tax mtu mwenye ananunua. Huyo mwenye ananunua anamsukumia tena VAT, alafu huwezi enda uwaambie hii nilipatiana 16% nirudishie. Never. Unaongea na nani? It's an agency. And
And even as we head towards the end, Captain, is I want us to talk about the turnaround, especially for the economy. I have a friend, a Korean friend, who, I don't know if you've gone to Westlands. Yes. There is a Kenya Railways building called it's called rail towers. Yes. Rail towers. Yes. Because you're going to the supermarket. It's called Nakumatt, UK.
Yes.
UK. On your right, there's a Kenrail Towers. Yes. It's called Kenrail Towers. There used to be a Korean friend of mine who used to have a restaurant. He used to be food train in Westlands, a Korean restaurant. And he used to serve Korean food. It was really massive, almost the whole floor.
Yeah.
So I met this guy. We talked sometimes. I tried to call him recently. I found he was Muteja. And I texted him on WhatsApp. I was looking for you because there's something I wanted him to order for me from China. After around 3 days, the guy replies my message. Akaniambia, I'm from Ethiopia. I'm going to Doha. Then okay, what are you doing in Ethiopia? What happened to your business in Kenya? Your food train hotel? And he's like, I closed it almost a year ago. Ninini? Kasema Kenya, it's impossible to transact business. He has moved his business to Ethiopia. The policies around us is the reason why we cannot even raise budget amounts.
Yes.
We cannot raise budgets. Is the reason why we cannot pay counties. We cannot give money to counties to pay our medics. Is the reason why we cripple under debt. Is the policy that's around us. Because you can imagine, if a businessman would rather do business in Ethiopia, where these guys are shooting each other every morning, would rather do business in Uganda, where we are saying the president is a dictator, and you think about the environment that the business cannot thrive. If they can do business in Sudan, instead of doing it in Kenya.
Or Burundi.
In even Burundi, where it's a war zone. If they can go like HAMO was in Tanzania last week, they can go and do business in Tanzania than do business in Kenya. And he told me it's not only him who has left Kenya. He told me almost his friends who are doing business in this country have already left. Reason, minimum, the policies around the business and the disempowerment. This guy was saying, when they were doing that road, you remember they were constructing that road? Those trucks used to be there every day, Kiunua Vumbi. That time, that guy was not doing business. But the same people who are doing the road are coming in for taxes every day. They're saying, we want money. The police are coming also wanataka yao. The county are coming, they want their money. And you're not doing business. The same guys who are disrupting your business are asking for money. The other day when there was COVID-19, you've closed business. But they're coming in every day. They want to charge you for licenses. They want to charge you a tax. They're just like, man, I cannot do this. Alifunga hapa, mniambia just close it. I'm not coming back to Kenya again. Left just a restaurant like that with everything inside. This is how tired investors are. The question is, Wanderi,
yes,
and there seems to be no sense of guilt from the government. When you hear the president talk, it never tells us about where we are, the state of the economy, and where we need to turn at, and what policies and strategies we have to turn around the economy of this country. The question, where you sit, where is the turnaround for this country?
You see, Bitok, in public finance, there are two sides. There is the revenue side, what you receive and collect. There is a physical side, which is the expenditure side. Our problem has never been the revenue side. The revenue side, whatever the downside we have there, is self-inflicted. Because we can collect enough. And if you ask me, I know, because where it can be collected. I also know who doesn't collect and why they don't collect. Okay? It is simply what you call collusive corruption. It's not abusive. It's collusive corruption. I'm supposed to pay 100 million. Why can't I pay 20 and give you 5? Okay? And so you have big people sounding titles. It's okay if you are a homeboy to get a job and be appointed. But whether you can do it is another thing. Is another issue. So that is a downside on the revenue side. Collusive corruption. I know the pain areas, okay? And now that I am no longer in that system, I even know how people hide. I can even help people hide,
yes,
if need be, because I know how the bureaucrats, how the lazy bureaucrats think and work. And this they can, because they have not done it practically, they can't get out of that mindset, and therefore they wouldn't be able to tax properly. Let's go to the expenditure side. Where is this money? Bitok, you have been invested in something here because this goes to the production of your product.
Sure.
Okay? Now, if you want to spur an economy, then you must, even if you have a cash cow, it is the cash cow that you feed. That is what produces. You remember what we said about coffee?
Yes.
Why do you
Why are we
need
talking
money in the
about
factory?
processing before production?
Yeah, before production. Why do we need a road going to nowhere?
Yes.
Let me tell you something. If I became president over a PS in this country, let me tell you the first thing I will do. I will do the road between Rumuruti and a place called Malaso in Saburu. It's not in my village.
No.
But I know because I have seen people sell goats at 800 in Malaso. That goat, by the time it gets to Rumuruti, is Alfutatu. You've understood that economics, Bito?
Yeah.
But because of the poor road network from Ginyang, Malaso, those places, we are now consuming livestock products from Ethiopia and Tanzania. You need to go to Nyandarua.
Yes.
People are feeding carrots to animals, to dairy cows, onions, but we are also buying onions from Tanzania. I mean, that's simple logic that you invest where you get the best returns or the best savings. Why are we borrowing heavily? Because I need to borrow, create a project, and then give Professor HAMO a project.
Yes.
Because he's my buddy. We spent the 300 million, he makes his 50 million. Oh God, we are developed. Roads going to nowhere, projects going to nowhere. You've seen the last mile connectivity. Okay? And that perhaps should educate us a bit. Why is Kenya Power reeling under a lot of pressure? Because you expected that if you sponsor people to connect power under 15,000, you would be able to collect back within a year that money and
through the bills.
Yes, you know. But we know the kind of what are those people using the power for in the first place? Okay. What are they using?
Lighting, kucharge simu.
Lighting, kucharge simu. Hata pasi hawapigi.
There's no production.
There's no production. Yet at the same time, you have areas in this country where you need that power for production. Power is very expensive in our country. The things that we should be focusing on are take the back burner. So we focus. Now, we are always talking about consumption and not production. So MCAs will get 2 million grant. SRC has in the past said no. I pray that they say no again. Because we are like creating a group of Kenyans who are leeches, ticks who feed on the blood of the rest. The fact that you've just been elected to an office, I said earlier before you came that those politicians are servants, not our overlords. You know, when you hear that the fellow is going to get 2 million, it means that the government is going to engage in even higher and more aggressive taxation to get that money to pay that politician. Not for your benefit.
No.
For himself. And this is the crux of the matter. To turn around the economy, you need to invest in areas where production is happening. Secondly, you also need to look at the licensing regime. If we can create agencies, specialized agencies to deal with crime and financial crime, we should be able to create agencies to talk about the business environment. I talked about the 110 kilometers from Naivasha to Kinekela. Talk about the 155 kilometers from Nairobi to Nyeri. Nairobi County, Kiambu, Muranga, Kirinyaga, Nyeri. You know, you are being forced to stop at one place and shop there and then leave. You don't want to stop anywhere because you will be taxed for taking business to Muranga. You will be taxed. Talk about from Eldoret to Nakuru. You're going to be taxed along the road.
Yes.
Why should then I take business to Nyeri? Does it make any logic?
No, it doesn't.
You know, and this is where I'm saying that is an area I'm passionate in, because I know very well that you cannot ask somebody to give you 3 shillings out of 10 if he has not made the 10. First, you have to create an environment for him to make the 10
shillings.
Then you ask for the 3.
For the 3 shillings.
And you see, that means you need to do things that inspire these people. And then we talked about innovation. We have very young people with brains. Okay? Yeah. How many theaters? We are seeing counties talking about halls and doing buildings and offices. How many counties are creating theaters for art and production? HAMO, you are in that area. As you said, you are known internationally.
Yes.
I watch you people. I am a fan of you. Okay?
Yeah.
And recently, when I saw you at Public Service Club, I won't tell you who you are meeting. But
yes. Ume is a big man. Ume is a big shot.
He says hi to people. That is why maybe people think he should be a politician. But don't dare. You see, we have. You see that why people recede into their small region and ethnic cocoons is because they do not see the opportunities that abound out there.
Yes.
They only see we have localized even thought. Even vision. We have localized. You cannot achieve your mission if you don't have a vision. So what's the vision you have? Personally, one of the people I follow is my Professor Lumumba. And I don't want to be restricted to Kenya like you. No. I want to talk about Burundi, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Uganda, Sudan, South Sudan, Somalia, because I have a wider area. Okay? When I talk about security analysis in other international media and even locally, I don't want to talk about local things, because if the moment you close yourself that way, you're going to be limited in vision and spectrum.
Sasa kama sisi tukimaliza tu election hivi, we start campaigning for the next one immediately.
Yes.
Because of no vision. You are in power, you're sitting on the seat, but you're thinking, hey, next way lazima nijipage saa hizi tuchape IBC kidogo. Let me tell you something that my late father taught me. He was in the army. Sasa bahati moja wakati ameretire and he was sick. He had Parkinson's. Sasa siku moja tunaona news na yeye. And then there was a video from Boni Forest.
Yes.
A cop was complaining. Si hapa hata nje tunanyeshewa sijui nini. And my father akachukua remote, shaking as he was. Akazima TV. Hafa akaniangalia akaniuliza, kwani huyu alienda high school kupatiwa uniform? Hii uniform ya polisi alitoa wapi? Because when you're training, you are taught that ukibeba hii bunduki hautalala. Yes. Ni normal. Akaniambia, in fact, let me tell you something that si unataka kuwa jeshi. Acha nikuambie.
Ulikuwa unataka kuwa jeshi?
Sana, nimekimbia hiyo uwanja, isipokuwa mguu ni ya G4S. So aliniambia the moment unapatiwa bunduki ushike hivi, unakaa nayo bitoke, hakuna kulala, na ukilala wanaiba.
Inaitwa girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
Na unaijua bat number na serial number. In fact, when you are a cadet, by second week, unaiba bat number 189, serial number 11 something SS. You internalize it. And that is why you see they really hold on to it.
Atakikuwa hadi because alikuwa so angry. Akasema nani alipatia nafasi hata andakiwa basi si utoke. Basi achana na enda nyumbani rudisha bunduki, toa uniform, si nikubaya. Go. Jana I saw a video of someone saying, tunakasirikia polisi, wanachukua hongo, ni makosa, lakini the nature of their job. Nikauliza kwani mimi nikienda kwa stage kama sija prepare, I'll be booed. It is the nature of my job. People want to laugh by the second. Nikiingia hivi kuchekesha. No wonder I was given this face by God himself. God ordained me to be a comedian. Alafu natokea tu kama superstar. Sina kitu ya kuambia. I have no thought. Alafu nasema mnatakiwa mcheke tu. Mcheke nini? Sijawapatia laughing gas. No. I need to have thoughts. Sasa wewe ukianza kuniambia that a cop sasa
mwenye hata anaongana apate kazi.
Akia nani? Wacha hivyo, wakishaingia job, kitu ya kwanza unatafuta pesa ya kuingia traffic department. Juu unajua hapo ndio utaomoka.
Sasa ndio sikio jamaa wa mwisho. Hello, jambo.
Yango, habari yako?
Salama sana, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama.
Nazungumza na nani?
Nazungumza na Catherine.
Yes, Catherine.
From Nairobi. I've been following your debate.
Wow, thank you.
And thanks so much for Collins for all those insightful information that he has given out to the
public mwananchi,
I really
especially those who are following this. I really pity the matatu industry. I've been playing a route yenye hata mpaka nahurumia watu wa matatu. That is from Kariobangi to Ruai. Ukitoka Kariobangi roundabout, hiyo ya Juja Road, unakutana na polisi before ufike junction ya 36 in Korokocho. Those people pay something.
Ni wenye wanachukua ushuru.
Wenye wanachukua ushuru.
Enye ifiki kwa serikali.
Unatoka hapo, unafika Dandora karibu na seniors, unapata the second group.
Wanaitisha pia.
Yes, you get to in between kwa reli na hapo kabla hujafika kwa reli they pay. Hapo Molem Heights they pay. As you connect through Kangundo Road they pay. Ukiingia before ufike Njiru they pay. Kabla hujafika bypass unalipa. And you can imagine that matatu saa zingine inalipisha 70 bob or maybe 100 shillings.
Na wakati wa corona watu wajai.
Kutoka corona sijaipanda matatu.
Ndio nasema ni wakati wa corona watu wajazwe kwa matatu. I think they do 60%.
So you can imagine all that.
Wow.
At the end of the day, how much does that matter to give the owner and how much to those people part up with? And then unajua kuna ile wanasema umeingia kwa shimo.
Yes.
Lazima ulipie shimo.
Shimo ni gani?
So that I think
unajua stage inaitwa
stage.
Catherine.
Kuna security pia.
So you look at all those mpaka unashindwa kwani what is not happening.
Oh, that's very sad.
Wacha hiyo. We have young tax in the house. We have young adults in the house.
Yes.
They sat down. They decided now to venture into online business. Saizi unaona online business is going to be taxed.
Kama yangu ndio anataka kufunga tena, utakuwa unapiga simu in the next 2
Sasa what are the kids going to do? Na unaona mtoto anatoka hapa. I have kids wenye walianzisha that online business. Waliungana tu the 4 kids in the house. So mmoja anatoka anaenda Kikomba ananunua viatu maybe 500 shillings. Kuna hiyo kama it is delivery 200. Anauza kiatu shilingi 1,000. So unapata kama wamekudelivia within the CBD anakuchaje shilingi 200 ndio aweze kudeliver. Sasa huyu mtoto umempatia capital aanze nayo biashara. It's not a lot, around 5,000 shillings. Mtu anaenda nanunua viatu pea maybe 6-7.
Yeah.
Ndio asikuombe hiyo pesa ya credit kwa nyumba. Also to keep them a bit engaged.
Yeah.
But now sasa wakianza hiyo, where are we heading to?
Very sad, Catherine.
It's a very sad incident, but how I wish Collins people to take heed of what you have said, so that at least we can transform this country of ours. It is very painful. It is really very painful. Mpaka unashindwa uanzie wapi umalizie wapi.
Catherine, don't lose hope. For one, I will tell you this, that there are those, we don't have any other country. We don't have a spare country. This is our country.
Exactly.
And we have our children who are growing up. The last thing you can do is give up on it. Change is a process, you see. If you look at countries where we are saying there's dictatorship, violence, war, those people are still living and surviving.
Yeah.
In our country now, we have a situation where people can belligerently, in a bellicose manner, write angrily to the president and disagree with him. Hii hata hiyo ni maendeleo. Hata hiyo ni maendeleo. The next phase, you see the young people you are talking to. Tell them the next time they want to go and cast a vote. We have lived a better part of our lives. We are adults and they are our children. It is their future at stake. their future at stake. We've got into a situation in the country where we are criminalizing enterprise. You know, I like the way you talked about the matatu. What people do not know is that to put a matatu on the road, the owner of the matatu requires 11 licenses. If you add the licenses required by the crew and papers and stickers, they become 17.
And the circles.
And the circles, they become 17. I have done this because I'm studying a bit of what people are going through. And this is the question I asked: if we can form commissions to handle crime and entities, why can't we have the concerned ministries form so that we agree that are we going to have a matatu that plies from Eldoret to Nairobi? The reason the fare is very expensive is because if they have to pick somebody in Nakuru, lazima walipe.
Yeah, kuingia shimo
Nakuru, lazima walipe. You see, you know, and then you look like the people also coming to ask you for taxes, for these licenses and fees. They are so hostile, you know, as if you are a criminal. You are not a criminal.
You're an investor.
You are an investor. And this is why Rwanda is beating us at the game. You know, if Professor HAMO has been to Rwanda, how is border business organized here? Here we've left it to chance.
Yeah,
we've left it to chance. We talk in Rwanda, every border has a very big mark showing that this is number this on this route. We have matatos, they have routes here. You know, you cannot tell a border can do anything here in Gong Road and then go to Kawangware, do the same in Jogoro, but you wouldn't track him.
Even being used to rob.
Yes. Even being robbers. But in Rwanda, he must prominently display
a number.
Otherwise, that border once it is impounded, it is never returned. And that is the end of that business. There are no jokes. You know? And so the business has been controlled because the government listens to the people. Now, somebody who starts with border today, tomorrow will own a tax cab, will own a big bus, will be a transporter. But here, we are busy calling people at the lower level as if we started from the air, calling them names and dismissing them. You know, let me mention something about what I have had. I don't know if you've ever constructed, Catherine, or my colleagues here, but I know the guys who need to construct. Nowadays, if you want to go kazi ya mjengo, especially wakati wa koroga. Siku hizi hatununui wheelbarrow sisi, wajenzi. Hapana, wewe unakuja na yako.
Kama unataka kazi kuja na yako.
Unakuja na yako. To hire it in the rural areas is 50 shillings.
Per day.
Per day. In towns it's 100 shillings. So there are people who have bought 10 of them. I know in places Thika, Muranga, those small towns. So somebody has 4 mikokoteni, he has 10 wheelbarrows. He leases them out to vijana to go and do business. So it's an insult to the citizens at that level who need that equipment. Because you have a degree and a diploma, you think those people don't matter. Really?
Not everybody has those documents.
Not everybody.
All right. Anyway, Catherine, as we let you go, what is your last comment?
Apart from that, there is also another concern.
Yes.
I have young adults in the house. Anytime I send them to go and buy bread, kitu ya kwanza namuuliza uko na ID. Hawezi enda kununua mkate. Atashikwa. I had a very bad incident at one point. These kids had come from church, ile maombi ya jioni, and unfortunately enough, wote waine wakashikwa. At that time, the last born was in Form 1, and the first born was to graduate. So when I went to the police station, the police officer just told me that, do you know how many people I have killed? Wow. And I can shoot all of these at once. You know what I told the policeman?
Which police station is that, Catherine?
Kwambao.
Of course, if it doesn't compromise, I hope it doesn't compromise your safety as well.
Do you know what I told him?
Yes.
What are you waiting for? Kill them. Yeah, you'll not be the first person to kill them because they had just come from a prayer cell. We were having a prayer cell and a family week of prayer whereby we were going to different houses. And it was at 7:30. Na wameshikiwa wakiingia kwa gate. And one policeman alimpiga huyo msichana, the one was the one was to graduate in 5 days time. Alimchapa kwa it was a very bad incident. But I felt so bad, and I told that policeman, you shoot all of them, because how comes the 4 kids wamebeba Biblia, wako na hiyo study guide yenye imeonyesha, and by the time I was called, the lady kwenye walikuwa wametoka kwake alikuwa amefika kwa police station, na walizungusha hao watoto tuburuburu back to Kinyago. But I like the OCS wa Kinyago at that time.
Yeah.
Alipofika pale, I asked them, where is the OCS? Those policemen at Kinyago. Now that was an AP place, and they were taken to Kinyago kwa Pro Box. So by the time nilikuwa nafika Kinyago police station, the OCS akaniuliza ni shida gani iko hapo. Nikamwambia kuna mtoto mwenye ako 15 years old and 22 years old, 16 years, 17 and 22 wamewekwa hapa ndani. Why? Huyo form 1 alikuwa amewekwa drunk and disorderly, the form 2 boy resisting an arrest, the 2 girls, the one was in Kenyatta University and the one was in Form 4 Parkland, walikuwa wameambiwa resisting also arrest, but the one in Form 1 drunk and disorderly. It was a very bad incident, and since then Collins, yani nikiangalia askari saa zingine nasikia kutetemeka, because unaona mtoto ameshikwa innocently. So since they got their IDs, they will never get outside the house kwenda kununua mkate bila ID, because huwezi jua ni nini itafanyika next.
You know, it's very, very sad, you know, and those are the perfect examples of abuse.
Impunity.
You know, impunity and abuse of power. You're given a responsibility to protect the people. You know, buduki na pingu sio zako. They belong to their public equipment to protect the public. And what these people don't realize is that, you know, Professor HAMO, to the indoctrination during the training when you're in the military is very solemn, you know, and it's like spiritual.
Yeah.
It's like
spiritual.
You had a father who was the military. Yeah. He feels like we talk my best friends. I would do anything to protect my friend who is a comrade at arms, because it is spiritual. Equally, it was indoctrinated that I hold this firearm in the name of the state and for the protection of the public. Most people who breach those oaths live very painful lives, because it's a very high calling. Yeah. You know, you are actually doing God's work to protect other human beings. But a lot of people don't realize this.
They don't connect to the spirituality.
Because of greed of a little Nakiburi.
Anyway, guys, we are past time.
Yes.
I think we are 25 minutes past time. I want to really appreciate you, Wanderi, for coming in. I wish you could make time every week, because everyone is saying, kuja kila siku, lakini hajawezi kuja kila siku. So I don't think we can make 2 days so during the week so that we can have these conversations better. Yes. I'm saying Bira Ngatia says a friend is made to pay 10% from a single rental property, which is still paying a mortgage of 40,000, while the tenant is paying a monthly rent of 32,000. I mean, it's crazy. Muhammad Abdullah says Captain Wanderi is always informative. He deserves higher rank in government. All right. Mox Brice says thank you, Catherine. Abbas Jiguna, the painful part is that the government is not there to support you when starting your struggles, but are always keeping an eye on the activities. Immediately a shilling starts to dropping into your pocket, they are very much present at your doorstep. At your doorstep asking for abnormal taxes. That's crazy. And I think these guys want to come on a kwanga na ghost. And someone, does the president know that it's like they don't live in Kenya? Very sad. Anyway, guys, I wish I could read all the comments, but because of time, I'll not have that time. I want to give you an opportunity to give your last remarks, then I'll give it to HAMO to make remarks, then we close it up.
Bitok, my closing remarks is to the young people of this country. Most of us, I say I'm in the second phase, not in the last phase of my life, in the second phase. But I see the struggles of the young people, the great ideas they have. I meet them every other day. I met one who said hi to me. He's called Cyrus Gashiki. I met him yesterday. And I spent a whole 3 hours talking to him about some things.
And he's a fan here.
Yes, because he told me he's your fan. And I told him, I want to spend time like a consultant giving you ideas, because in 10 years' time, I don't want you after the age of 45 to have to wake up to work to eat. You know, I said that and a lot of our young people did not get it because they said you don't get a job early. They mistook. There are 3 basic needs for a human being: food, shelter, and clothing. By age 45, any reasonable human being should have sorted those basics.
Those 3.
It doesn't matter where you build a house. It doesn't matter where you get your source of livelihood. But please have one. You know, you will be shocked that I still farm maize.
Yeah.
I still farm things up country and somewhere near Nairobi. Bananas.
Yes.
I have not bought a banana since December 21st because I've been consuming the ones I harvested. That's a saving. I want to talk to the young people and tell them, first, do not despise anything that brings a shilling to you. If you are employed, please work as if that is your enterprise. If you are in business, work, serve your customers as if you will never get another customer. When you walk around, please look at the needs people have. You innovate by filling the gap. That is where, if you are a professor, when you know people are stressed, make them laugh.
That's my job.
Yes. If you know that they need gospel music, sing soothing music. Okay? Yes. You know, and the other thing I want to tell the young people, please remember, there is not a single politician who can get injured for you. That I know. I know that. And I say that with a lot of respect because I have former colleagues in the army who joined politics, former professional colleagues who are even governors, but I know they will never lose a finger because of you. For you. So it is your life. Focus on yourself. Then finally, as you think about this country, love the country. Love the country. I have said it in social media. I have no love lost for politicians. I have only mourned 2 politicians in my life. 2. President Nelson Mandela and Professor Wangari Maathai. Anybody else?
It's a good returns.
I mean, to me, just to keep quiet, okay? Because I would want our young people to refocus their thinking. Let us have an alternative national agenda. Let's talk about enterprise, innovation, and merchandising. Okay? I go to very many places and see something costing this in this area. But in the other place, it costs double. I always ask myself, you know, I wish I had all the time to do all those things, but I can't be in all places at the same time. So if you can get some good tomatoes in Mtito a day, some good onions, and ship them to Nairobi because there is transport every day, please do it and be honest. The young people, the only thing you can sell now to us who have been here a bit before is trust and honesty. A person who is investing 10 million, don't go stealing from him 1,000 or 10,000. No. Try and make him spend 100,000, which you can gain. That is the way of life. That is the logic. But try every day. When you wake up every day, create something. Think about something. Walk around with a notebook. Write something. Write something. For heaven's sake, especially for the graduates. When you graduated, you are told you've been given power to read and write. But how many graduates are writing anything? That's a challenge I give to the young people. Yes. Love this country. Don't love human beings.
Don't love the president. Love the country.
Yes, love the country. Because once you love the country, you don't even, you see, personally, I will never go to the social media, use bellicose and belligerent language to abuse the president. What for? I mean, he's one person. He just has, and that power is transitory.
Yeah.
He will not be there tomorrow. I respect the presidency. I will respect even his deputy. I will respect everybody else. But using that kind of language simply exposes you, even if you're educated, as a person with very low intellectual capability. Engage people in ideas, not in bellicose language.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for coming in. I hope to see you again next week if you make time. Really appreciate. Amo.
Yes. Me, I think I need to talk I need to talk to the government and the presidency, not the president, the presidency. Toka kwa treadmill. We look so busy as a nation. We're so busy, but we're going nowhere. Hiyo story yako ati unanyanyasa kijana amefungua kinyozi. Amejaza makaratasi kila mahali juana mnafasi. That is wrong. In fact, ukisikia ati comedian ameamua ata chip into the politics of the day, it tells you that there is a lack. There is a lack in what you're doing. Please, kama baba anatusiana kwa nyumba, hata sisi watoto tutatusiana. Don't act as if corona, unaona hata vile mnahando corona. Corona inahanduliwa ni kama ni ya maskini. Matatu inabeba 50%. Ndege tunafinyana hivi kwa ndege. Kwani hiyo corona inaogopa mawingu?
Inaogopa tajiri.
Inaogopa, na hiyo ndio alafu wenye wanakufa ni tajiri. Sasa you know, this is the fallacy of spirituality. Let me tell you. Wacheni kukula ni kama mko kwa barabara. Ni kama mnaenda. Tafadhali. Unajua vile tulikuwa tunakula tukienda festival? Unakula kabisa. Wacha kukula ni kama hii nchi ni kama unaihama. You remember Mobutu alitoka kwake akaenda kuzikwa mahali unmarked graves. Kama mtu hakuwa kitu, na alikuwa anaitwa Kumbengu wa Zabanga. Jogoo inayowika na kunyorosha vijiji vyote. Where was he when he died? I think he died a very sad man.
Siadbare.
Angalia. Angalia across the road. Hapa tu Uganda. I'm telling you, if you do not learn from history, we will teach you. We are young people. We have the energy to do what we do. Mtaendelea kuiba, si tutajenga. Tutajenga tu mpaka siku ile mtachoka on this what you are stealing. Steal. Keep stealing. Tutawachekesha mnyongo nazo. Yeah. That is the only thing. But I'm telling you as young people, it's time to rise up, not at the revolutions, no. It's by doing what you do the best way you can. Fanya unaosha hiyo gari. Uko kwa kaosh. Osha kabisa, yani mpaka hata hiyo kaosh ikuhamishe. Tukupate JKIA ukiosha ndege. Juu sasa umekuwa mnoma. Just do whatever you do with exceptionality, because that is the only thing you have right now. That is what they cannot take. Do it.
Thank you so much. Now what? This is a tackle, and the tackle ends now. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.